Please welcome 43 North Foundation Chairman and Managing Director of Lorraine Capital, Bill Maggio.
Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Everybody hear me? Yes? I can't hear myself. All right, what a privilege it is for me to be here again this year, hosting today's semifinal event. I got to start out by welcoming students from Lackawanna High School and Lafayette High School. Let's give them a round of applause for being here to support us. You know, my brother John, who's vastly more talented than I, is a TV documentary. He did a documentary about Buffalo, and he shot a lot of it at Lafayette High School, and it will be premiering tonight. So Lafayette High School will be seen by the world today. So best of luck to all of you. Welcome to the semifinal qualifying round, the 11th year of the 43 North Finals. Today we are welcoming 15 semifinalists from across the globe, with 2 coming as far away as the UK to pitch live on this stage and compete for a chance to be a part of what we are building here in Buffalo. This year's competition was tight. The founders that are about to step out on stage beat out nearly 1,000 other companies just to get here, and they're not done yet. They'll be aiming for a chance to be one of 8 companies that will advance to our main event, 43 North's finals tomorrow night at Shea's. I'm sure everyone here has already reserved their tickets. Here's the PR plug. In case you haven't, go to 43north.org and get them now. These companies are competing for 5 $1 million investments and a spot in our year 11 cohort. 11 years, that's a round of applause for us. Let's go. Let's get it going here. All right. Today isn't just about the companies on stage, it's about Buffalo, a city that shows up and goes all in when it comes to supporting bold founders. A passionate community that rallies around them. Year after year, we raise the bar for our founders, for Buffalo, and for the future. We're all working to build together. None of this would be possible without the unwavering support of our incredible community. From all of you in the audience, to the schools across Western New York, tuning in via live stream, and our dedicated local sponsors like M&T Bank, we are truly grateful. Now it is my sincere pleasure to introduce a key partner for 43 North semifinals and many of the events this week, the Chief Data Officer for M&T Bank, Andrew Foster, to make a few remarks. Andrew?
Hey everyone, hear me well? Thumbs up, hands up. Okay, so to all the contestants who made it this far, congratulations, give yourself a round of applause. Yeah. And as you can tell from my accent, I'm not from Buffalo, but Buffalo's become our home over the last 2.5 years. Love working at M&T Bank, love living in the city, really looking forward to welcoming the winners of the competition this year. But congrats to 43 North on 11 years. I think it's pretty incredible. I'm super pumped about being able to go to Shea's tomorrow night. My wife and I went last year, and I think we all recognize that entrepreneurship is the heart of what makes both Buffalo great and the country great. And so tomorrow night, I'm bringing my teenage daughters because I want them to get to watch you. Right, you've got the courage to stand up on stage. You've got the courage to invest in your dream. I'm really sort of rooting for you every step of the way. So with that, let's get the show on the road. Let's get the first founders up, and looking forward to it. Let's go.
Okay. All right. I'm supposed to thank you. I did that. All right. Here's how the qualifying round is going to work. Each company will have 5 minutes to pitch and 7 minutes to answer questions from our 28 judges, who are investors, entrepreneurs, and startup community leaders from across North America. So let's get started by meeting our first group of judges. You guys ready? Let's give them a round of applause as I announce each one of their names. From Impellent Ventures, please welcome David Brown. From Morgan Stanley Next Level Fund, please welcome Alice Vilma. From Centrifuge Capital, please welcome Max Doran. From GrowthX, please welcome Andrew Goldner. And last but not least, from the American Heart Association Venture Fund, please welcome Elise King. Okay, you guys ready to get started? All right, let's bring out our first competitor. His name is Joel Horsford from Rad Employ. really tough. Here you go. It's really tough going first. And this is a man after my own heart. He's a physician, and he's an athlete.
Hello.
Good luck.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Joel Horsford. I'm the founder and CEO of RadEmploy. RadEmploy is a conversational AI platform that connects radiology professionals with large hospital systems. From broken bones to cancer detection to women's health, radiology plays an important part in every patient's journey. These licensed professionals are highly qualified in X-ray, CT, MRI, mammo, ultrasound, and 13 other specialties. I've worked in radiology for over 15 years. I started as a licensed technologist, then I became the head of partnerships, then vice president of radiology. I've seen firsthand how radiology impacts all of us. 85% of hospitals today are understaffed. This leads to patients having to wait up to 120 days just to get an appointment. That's entirely too long, and the issue is growing. It's a $14 billion market today, on track to reach $42 billion by 2034. And hospital systems are losing over $1 trillion in revenue every single year. This is why we built RadEmploy. Our platform verifies every candidate, allows candidates and clients to communicate directly on the platform, live. We geomap every single candidate to the nearest open position in their city and state, and our conversational AI communicates directly with the candidate, verifies the credentials, gets all the details, resume, and any other information the client may want. They take that information and submit it directly to the client. Our clients love us because they can sign up today, get onboarded, and go live, literally the same day. We're growing 30% month over month with our users. Currently, we have over 20,000 employees on the platform, and it normally takes 3 to 6 months for a candidate to get hired in radiology. But with us, our clients are hiring people within 5 to 7 days. In just 1 year, we signed RadNet, a publicly traded radiology company. Then we signed Baylor Scott & White, the largest hospital system in all of Texas. And then we signed Trinity Health, located in 22 states. We also have a pipeline of over 2,500 more clients that we plan on bringing on over the next couple months and years. So the market is big, but our vision is actually larger. We've identified 10 other sectors that have the same exact issue that radiology has, meaning the staffing issue. And they have the same type of credentialing that's needed as well. For us, it's plug and play. We can add those type of employees directly on our platform as well and turn our $14 billion market that I mentioned at the beginning into $148 billion. My co-founder and I, Matt Freed, have known each other for over 20 years. He went to Syracuse University. I attended SUNY Oswego. We look forward to bringing our team here to Buffalo. But why Buffalo, right? Well, we've already partnered with 3 schools in Buffalo to help their students get employment. We also feel like Buffalo has a great hub for talent to build our team. And just through research, we know that healthcare, education, and technology are very big here in Buffalo. And coincidentally, that's what we are. So for RadEmploy, coming to Buffalo is not just about business. It's personal. Thank you.
Okay, who wants to kick us off? David.
Thanks, Bill.
No
Always.
problem, my pleasure.
Thank you for the presentation.
No problem.
Quick question for you. When you're talking about the market sizing, you honed in on a $1 trillion loss per year, but talked about a much smaller kind of addressable TAM. How do you think about kind of the issue set facing the hospitals in terms of this imaging crisis directly, and how does your solution directly address that?
Yeah, so hospitals and imaging centers also, which are also a big part of the market, are losing tons of revenue due to the fact that when they don't have the right staff, they're closing rooms, they're delaying care, and oftentimes patients go to other competitive markets, right, or competitive companies in the market they're in. The way we're addressing it is we're allowing these hospitals to hire people extremely faster than what they have been, and we're allowing them to keep the rooms open. Through my experience, I was on the other side. I was the one who had to close a room. I was the one that had to tell a patient we can't see you. So we feel like what we're doing is allowing that to not happen for anybody working in the field.
Alice, please.
Thank you for that. Can you talk about, with respect to competition, your competitive positioning and why employers are coming or hospitals are coming to you first vis-a-vis your competitive set?
Yeah, I love that question. So 80% of our clients today have been inbounds. We have not reached out to them, they came to us. And the reason for that is because there isn't a solution that actually helped them. There are plenty of job boards out there, there's plenty staffing agencies out there. They do well, but we're focused on a specific market that qualifies each person. So what the client is actually seeing are the cream of the crop within this industry. Not just any person who says they are something that they actually may not be. Licensing is extremely important.
Max, then we'll go.
So there's clearly some market inefficiencies around just allocation of techs across the country, but it also seems like there's just a supply issue, maybe not enough techs.
Absolutely.
Are you planning to address that supply issue to get more people licensed and into the pipeline to fill these roles?
100%. So I mentioned the 20,000 individuals because our goal is to get to about 50,000 before we start doing an upskilling aspect, which is where we add an AI tutor onto our platform that teaches individuals who may be in high school or people who might be in college not sure what they want to do. And we help them get to the point where they can get a license and actually build the market, not just be part of the market and control the staffing part, also growing the market.
Andrew.
And thank you for that. Really great job.
Thank you.
When you mentioned those early customers and some really good brands from inbound, as you've paid attention in terms of key learnings, are there any one or two key attributes that come to mind that you're noticing are similar among the customers and the ultimate economic buyer, such that as you learn to grow, you can grow systematically?
Yeah, great question. I think that's fairly loaded. There's a lot that I can talk about on that. But I would say I thought that hospital systems would have more infrastructure around recruiting and that they would have more in place. And what I realized is that they actually don't. They have recruiters within their teams that actually need support. So the way that we support them in many ways is we're also a database that gives them access to the right individuals. For them, they're out there looking for candidates very randomly and not finding the right people. Because now I realize after working with these clients that their goal is to help patients. They don't have the time to do the staffing part. So that's where we plug into their system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much. It was a great presentation. You talked about how you do the license verification. Can you tell us more about whether you vet the candidates so there's just not more turnover a month later or 6 months later if it's just not the right person?
Sure. So if somebody was to go on the platform today, they would sign up and go through 8 steps. Those questions would be everything from their license number to the city and state, zip code, etc. Once that's completed, our system is able to verify instantaneously whether that person is actually licensed or not. Send them an email saying you've been given access or granted access, and if you're not, then it will tell you we can't find your resume. A recruiter will call you and go through the process with you. So that can happen when somebody might miss a number on their license and it just causes an error. So that's where our recruiters come in. But the process is extremely simple, and we are able to know everything about that client because they're actually also able to put in the details, the candidate, also able to put in their details.
David.
How susceptible is your employee base to replacement through artificial intelligence, and what does that mean for your market long term?
Question.
I'm glad you asked that. So without getting into the nitty gritty, the individuals who are using our platform today, they actually are the ones using the machinery in the imaging centers, the MRI machine, the X-ray machine. These people are needed. There is no AI around physical labor. The AI is actually working on the side of the radiologist to help them read the exams. Now, I would say that if they're reading the exam faster, that means we need more of the people I'm talking about because more patients will need to be seen quicker. So what we're doing is not actually stabilizing the market. We're actually going to grow the market because of the AI that's being introduced to the reading radiologists.
Interesting. Please, Andrew.
I had a follow-up question to the conversation we just began. I thought you shared a really interesting insight, the uncovering from your customer that they want to be helping people, and the staffing thing is taking them away from that. I'm wondering, again, early early learnings, anything that you're picking up, are you starting to see a relationship, and how direct of a relationship between the problem that you're helping these people solve and a direct economic benefit to the organization that they serve? How direct are you seeing that come together?
Extremely direct. What has been told through our meetings with many of these clients, and some of us I haven't mentioned yet, is that they may hire a person next month, and the person may work for 3 months and then leave because the qualifications didn't match the actual role. So they're essentially interviewing a person, hiring them, training them, getting them acclimated to the team, then they're leaving in 12 weeks. Then they're using the same dollars to hire another person and do the same thing. They have no way of qualifying. So for us, we're bringing you 3, 4 people for a specific role based on that value, and that person will stay for you 1 year, 2 years, even longer. If that answers your question.
Thank
We'll
you.
have to end it there. Good job.
Thank you.
Well done. A round of applause. I'll take that. You did this one. All right, great. Very interesting. Okay, who's up next here? Please join me in welcoming JP Montoya from Solem Health.
Thank you. Hey, Buffalo. Have you ever been stuck on hold just to get care? Let's be honest, patients are really frustrated, and clinics are losing all their patients before they even reach to the front desk. There is $4.9 trillion that are spent annually on the US healthcare budget. And among those, 40%, $2 trillion, are literally wasted on paper forms, intake, phone calls, and faxes. Yes, today, 80% of the communication in healthcare happens through a single fax. That's like literally burning the entire economy of New York every single year. $2 trillion wasted. Whenever you see a clinic, how it operates, they are actually spending 40% of their revenue on administrative costs. And they are taking up to 3 to 7 days to onboard a patient. Let's be honest. Doctors didn't go to med school because they wanted to spend their day in a spreadsheet. They did it because they wanted to actually deliver care. And this is not happening today. That's why I created Solem Health. I created it because as a practice owner myself, I need it. Solem Health is streamlining the whole administrative processes of running a clinic. Basically, you have Annie, our AI agent, handling different tasks, from prior authorization to eligibility check to intake forms. Everything is built on top of the technology that actually their clinics are using. We have their data, we have all the patient information, and that's ingesting our LLMs. This is an example. However, what we do is a client calls, and then we get a referral from a fax. Typically, you'll need to wait to reach a front desk person. With our system, it'll happen immediately. Annie will actually receive the call, will handle the task for you, and then we'll start the whole process. Then Annie will send the intake form. They'll collect the document, member insurance card, referral, whatever you need, and after that, we are going to connect with all the 2,500 payers that we have in our system, and we're going to run eligibility checks. We're going to know as a patient if you're active and if you're eligible to receive services. We're even going to know if you require prior authorization and how much you need to pay as a deductible copayment. Afterwards, we're going to do the whole process with the insurance, and then we're even going to request the prior authorization if it's needed. After that, basically, you're going to get scheduled. The whole process used to take 3 to 7 days. With our system, it can be done in less than a day, which is saving 80 to 90% of the time for the providers, but also for you as a patient. We are already live in some of the top outpatient facility centers in the US. 70% of them are actually based in the East Coast. We're working with Bespoke Physical Therapy, Rise Physical Therapy, Golden Steps, High Five ABA, the largest franchise for ABA therapy and autism therapy in the country. And everything has been really successful. We are on track to do $1 million in ARR by Q2 of 2026. We are right now at $160,000 growing 28% month over month, only 9 months after launching, and 6 months after having a beta product. We are already with 17 specialty clinics, and we are empowering physical therapy, longevity centers, autism therapy in our day-to-day. To be honest, the technology that we are using today, it didn't exist 9 months ago. Everything is new because the model has gotten better. They're more compliant. They have more reasoning capabilities. And that's why I started to build Solum Health. Clinics are actually having a hard time hiring people. Reimbursement rates are decreasing. And the wages are only increasing, which creates an immediate pressure to them. I have built this before. I built the largest mental health company for Latin America. We reached 20,000 patients a month, and then I sold it after 3.5 years. I faced, as a provider, the struggle to manage all the paper forms and to manage the intake process. That's why I created Solum Health, because I'm building right now the tool I wish I had when I was a provider. I'm also a Y Combinator alumni, and that's why I already know how to build and scale a healthcare company. The next time that you go to see a doctor and you do some scheduling, everything will be through Solum Health. And guess what? Solum Health will be built in downtown Buffalo, powering the AI and healthcare intersection for the whole world. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll hang on to this for you. Okay, who's going to kick us off? It's an amazing head of hair you got there, by the way.
Thank you.
We'll go with Alice first.
Thank you so much. Great presentation. I'm going to go around competition again. Market could be somewhat fragmented. And so how are you standing out vis-a-vis your competitive set? What exactly is your competitive advantage here?
Good question.
So that's a really good question. Right now, where we started is we started to automate and streamline the whole intake process because EHRs are managing all the data. However, they are not being able to actually collect the documents and deliver all the value from the intake process. That's why I decided to niche and focus specifically on the intake process. That's number one. At the same time, we are focusing in specialty, high-paying specialties, such as physical therapy, orthopedics, ABA therapy, because those are really fragmented and they are not working with the top EHRs in the country. Those are really niche EHRs where we already have the integration. We're integrated with over 15 EHRs. And second, I think that right now, to be honest, everyone can build product with AI. Our main differentiator is that I know the people. I have been working with them in the last 6 years of my life. Before starting Momentum, my first company, I worked as a private equity investor doing all the deals for ABA and autism therapy, and that's why I know the people. And that's the go-to market, I'll say, the biggest differentiator as well.
Andrew.
I'd like to build on that kind of unique selling proposition question with a kind of a question about unique value proposition. So how are you winning the conversation? How are you confirming that there's a real problem that if you solve for them, you're quantifying in dollars and cents a measurable outcome? Are you starting to see among those niche markets that you're starting to focus on a similar measurable, demonstrable result that you're going to deliver?
Yes. So in some of the pilots, we have been able to achieve 20 to 30% increase in revenue with the same staff that they have, only because if you imagine after business hours, nobody's answering the phone. And we are answering the phone 24/7, and 24/7 we are scheduling patients. So that's 20 to 30% on average, more revenue for the clinics, more patients, more schedule. At the same time, with our system, we are reducing 80 to 90% the intake process, which means 50% of decreased cost in the whole onboarding process of the patient. That's mostly what we have seen with the pilots, and it has been consistent across every single specialty that we are working on.
Thank you.
Similar to Alice's question, these smaller practices are doing this now. As you're in there speaking to them, what platforms are they using?
They're using a bunch of people, mostly, to be honest, overseas. They're really, really struggling to retain people. They are using different bunch of platforms. They are using, for example, Monday.com, Soho, HubSpot, tools that are not even built for healthcare. Like if you go into HubSpot, of course, everyone knows HubSpot. It's a huge company, it's an amazing company, but they're not HIPAA compliant. So everyone is using Hopsol, bunching, a lot of red tape across different workflows. There are Google Forms, different forms that are not built for healthcare, and that's why the experience for the patient is really frustrating because everything is a lot of data silos. Then you don't have a source of truth for your patients. Then you have a lot of patients that are being lost through the cracks because of this, and that's why we're solving this. I built the whole internal technology to scale into 20,000 patients because literally we had a bunch of integrations and it was very challenging. I require a product team and a tech team only for manage that internal operations.
David.
Talk to me a little bit about the actual product that you guys have created, kind of what are the different interfaces that are sitting in that? And as you've started doing testing with customers, where are you guys falling down today and where do you kind of see the product evolving to?
So our main product is actually connecting to all of the data sources. We have the phone, the voice AI agent that is connecting to the phone systems, to the VoIP. We have from the forms of the website, we are extracting and pulling up the data and then connecting everything through our system. And then from the referral, we are connecting to the e-faxes. So whenever a provider receives a fax, our AI will read the fax, will actually determine if it's an eligible fax or not, like a valid referral, and then based on that, we'll trigger the whole process. And that's it. Actually, let me try to see if I can show you a little bit how does the system works right now.
Live demo. It's a gutsy move.
Hi, this is Annie. How can I help you?
Hey, Annie, I would like to schedule an appointment.
Got it. Are you a new client or an existing one?
I think I'm a new client. I'm actually covered by Cigna. Do you accept Cigna?
Thanks for letting me know. Yes, we do accept Cigna for Cigna. Speech is one of the insurances we accept for speech, occupational, and feeding therapy. Could you tell me which type of therapy you're interested in?
Speech therapy would be good. My kid just got diagnosed.
Got it. Speech therapy would be a great fit.
This is a live conversation. It's powering thousands of appointments for a client in Florida, pediatric therapy. And that's one of our main systems. And from there, we have forms, automated forms. It will just complete the whole process. It will send you the form. It will extract the data. If you don't answer, Annie will be following up 3-4 times in order to collect the data. And then after that, we are going to read the member insurance card. We are going to power by APIs all the eligibility check, verification, and benefit. We're going to get scheduled, and then we're going to sync the information with the EHRs. That's how the product works.
Go ahead.
Just want to ask about you. You've a multi-time founder. Obviously, the insight for this came out of a prior company, but what are some of the lessons learned from prior startup experiences that you want to apply here, and what are some of the mistakes that you plan to avoid?
So the most challenging thing for me was balancing as a provider with my company, balancing the clinical care and the operational and administrative stuff. I had 80 providers on one hand, and I have 30 people powering the operations. And it was very difficult to manage that. So that's why actually I decided to focus. So I believe that all the providers should be focusing in delivering care and not managing of course, the administrative side. On a personal note, of course, scaling the team. I have learned how to scale the team. We went from $0 to $1 million in 8-9 months, and then scaling, hiring the team, making sure that every single person has the best capabilities to actually execute. That's mostly what I have learned. And also how to become really efficient with the capital that we have raised and scaling this into where to prioritize the investment and where to prioritize the go-to-market, how to acquire clients. I am spending 70-80% of my time literally almost laying in a hotel, going to all these conferences in the country, making sure that I meet every single practice owner over there, making sure that I'm actually listening to their needs, working in some enterprise clients, doing some customization, but also trying to build a scalable product.
Well, I've done it there. Great job, judges. All right. I like the way you say Buffalo. Okay, very interesting. All right. Let's see who's up next. You guys having fun?
Heck yeah.
All right. I'll take your word for it. All right, next up is Shiv Singh from Legacy. Let's welcome her to the stage, please.
Good morning, Buffalo. My name is Shivi Singh. I'm the founder and CEO of Legacy. We are the qualitative data layer that enables health systems to provide personalized care at scale. Meet Sarah. Sarah is an 80-year-old patient. She knows exactly the type of care she wants. She wants to be at home, in comfort care, surrounded by her loved ones. But unfortunately, none of these wishes have ever been captured, which means that Sarah is going to receive tens of thousands of dollars worth of interventions that she did not want. And that gap between what patients want out of their care and the care they actually receive is the biggest problem in healthcare today. Sarah is not alone. Over 60% of patients report receiving interventions that they did not want. And as our population ages and gets sicker, this problem is only going to get worse. And the cost, both human and financial, is only going to increase. Right now, this is the $700 billion problem in the US alone. And this is not because of any bad intent. It's because of a lack of access to qualitative data. Clinicians want to do the right thing, but they don't have the time or the tools to figure out who their patients are. And health systems cannot capture this information at scale and turn it into actionable insights. But there is a huge turning point in healthcare. Not only do we now have AI, which allows us to make the dream of personalized care a reality, but there is a $1 trillion redesign of how healthcare is being paid, called value-based care. And that means that payers and providers are now incentivized to reduce care costs while improving patient outcomes. And the only way that they can do that is by making sure that care aligns with what it is that patients want. And that's where Legacy comes in. Legacy is an AI agent that deeply understands the patient. It listens in on conversations between the clinician and patient, extracts information like, what does this patient care about? What is it that they want out of their care? Who are they? And turns that into actionable insights for clinicians. Everything from teaching the clinician to communicate with that patient, all the way to how medically adherent is this patient going to be. So with Legacy, Sarah's final days would have been spent at home with her family, rather than being tied into machines in the ICU. And that would save the health system tens of thousands of dollars every single day. And this is the power of making patient values visible. We started in serious illness because the need there is urgent. And we've already demonstrated immense impact. In fact, we've demonstrated that we can create 6x of an increase in actual revenue for the health systems while saving up to $60,000 per patient on non-beneficial care costs. And this is just the beginning. As we expand into payers and pharmaceuticals, what we make possible is the idea of personalized clinical trials and personalized care management for that patient. And this multi-billion-dollar industry is open, and we're the right team to capture it. I am an engineer by trade, and what I have learned is if you want to build the best product, you build it with the people who use it. And that's why clinicians have co-developed Legacy from the very beginning, making sure that everything fits into workflows, that there's actual real value being delivered, and that we're building trust with every single interaction. And this is the team that has closed over $450,000 in paid pilots with the largest health systems in the US. And we are so excited to continue this momentum in Buffalo. Buffalo has one of the highest concentrations of health systems in the US. And Kaleida, Catholic, and Roswell all serve some of the most diverse patient demographics. In Western New York alone, 140,000 patients are going to be making serious illness decisions this year. That means that Legacy, by aligning care with what it is that patients want, will allow health systems to save over $1 billion in non-beneficial care costs and generate over $30 million in revenue, all while making sure every single patient voice is being heard in their care. And that's the future that Legacy is creating. Buffalo is going to be the face of patient-centered care in this nation, and we're going to make sure that the next generation of healthcare is about patients and the data that tells their story, not just procedures. So Legacy is the qualitative data layer for all of healthcare. Thank you.
Really well done. Okay, who's going to get us started? You can hang on to that in a second.
Go ahead.
Alice, please.
I might be the competitive question person today.
Yes.
The same general question, like how is your platform competing with EHRs, quite frankly, which provide data tools and maybe internal data tools in some of these healthcare providers that are looking at summaries and et cetera? What exactly is your platform doing differently that is sustainable and sticky?
Yes, absolutely. So let me go in and get this. So we've got a ton of health, tools in healthcare. The first part of your question about how are we competing against electronic medical records, EHRs are slow. They care about the quantitative information of healthcare. They care about vitals, diagnoses, all that good stuff, and just capitalizing on that. But what no one really cares about is this qualitative information. And what we've shown, the research paper has demonstrated that 80% of what makes a difference in a patient's care is actually the qualitative information. So we're going to be the first to market to handle that. And in addition to that, we're in the beautiful middle point of being not only able to take information and turn it into part of the electronic medical record, but actually make the qualitative layer actionable data. And so that's kind of what differentiates us is we are focused on qualitative, and right now there's no one who's really focusing on that because quantitative is already such a big space.
Well done. Andrew, and then we'll come to Elise.
Yeah, I guess if that's the competitive landscape questioner, I'm the go-to-market questioner. I appreciate you've started to hone in on some value propositions. You're reducing non-beneficial care. You're increasing ACP billing success rates. And I think you're also improving clinician efficiency gains.
Yes.
In your early revenue and from your customers, are you starting to see some patterns that if you had a little ROI calculator, you could translate those general value propositions into actual dollars and cents, whether it starts from a percentage and then you calculate further?
Yeah.
Are they similar? Are you getting the information and seeing a focus group of customers to be able to reduce that to dollars and cents?
Yes, absolutely. So one of our largest health systems is a cancer center on the East Coast. And what we've already demonstrated with them is that in one subspecialty of medical oncology, we've earned them over $300,000 in reimbursement. And that is huge. For anyone who doesn't know, health systems they don't have a lot of money and they're constantly looking for ways to create revenue. So we've made that hard ROI for them, and that's just in one subspecialty. So as we roll this out to other specialties within oncology itself, as well as primary care, palliative care, in geriatric cardiology or geriatric surgery, we're already seeing millions of dollars in reimbursement that we can bring in for these systems, in addition to the cost savings, which again, as you mentioned, is the non-beneficial care cost, ICU stays being reduced, readmissions being reduced. That hasn't even been factored into the calculations.
Thank you.
Please.
Sadly, often in end of life, it's kind of too late to have these conversations. And so, when does this conversation actually need to happen? With which providers? And do they get paid for asking these questions or taking the time to do this if it's further upstream?
Absolutely. So yeah, that's a great point. Right now, these conversations either don't happen at all, which is the majority of the situation, or they're happening too late, meaning maybe just days before before a patient is passing away. And what we do is because we're listening in from the beginning, we're there with the patient and the clinician from the beginning of that patient journey. From when they first get diagnosed, we're listening in, building an understanding of the patient, all the way to when it is that the decisions need to be made. And so that's kind of the big takeaway. That's how we build this longitudinal understanding of the patient. In addition to that, regardless of what kind of clinician you are, the CPT codes for advanced care planning are all agnostic to specialty, and they're agnostic to where in the patient journey this happens. So as long as certain metrics are met, which is what Legacy is able to do. So by listening in, not only are we building a persona of the patient, but we're also building out the proper documentation, making sure that all the work that can be reimbursed is reimbursed.
And what's the reimbursement? Like on average, what's the reimbursement for that?
$130 for 15 minutes.
Max.
Connected to Elise's question, who is the decision maker at a hospital system deciding I'm going to bring in legacy, and then once they've made that decision, how hard is it to get it rolled out into the workflow?
Yeah. Good question.
So anyone who's familiar with selling into healthcare knows that there's usually a triad. So there's your clinical champion, there's your operational champion, and there's your financial champion. The final decision maker is always going to be the CFO of the health system. They're the ones who have access to the check size, right? And so what we do is we bring in the clinicians and the operations folks from the beginning, making sure that we're demonstrating constant benefit. And so, like I said, we have paid pilots from the beginning, and we're already seeing our contracts start to increase to at least $500,000. So we know that once we demonstrate clinical impact as well as operational impact with efficiencies, and then bring that over to the CFO, we're able to basically sign off and say, all right, this makes sense, this makes me more money than I'm spending, and that's exactly what I want. The rollout, getting anything to be system-wide is always difficult. Not even the biggest AI scribes are system-wide. And that's because you need to find the right use cases. And so the use cases that we have found out are ones that are quite high volume in terms of patient volume, as well as high reimbursement.
Time for one more. Scott, David.
I'd love to jump in a little bit more about the incentive and the hospital system. So I get that the CFO sees some benefit, but specifically, where are they getting that benefit? Is it insurance claims? Because you've now reduced billable transactions in hours for the hospital system. So how are they net benefiting here?
So because of, again, the $1 trillion redesign, value-based care has been in process for the last few decades, and now we're really seeing it happen at scale. That means that providers, so health systems, as well as payers, are now incentivized to make sure care costs as low as possible and that patient outcomes are good. So the less care that you're providing, less procedures, are actually now beneficial in your favor. And so because this redesign is happening, we're riding the right wave to make sure that we're actually able to capitalize on this next generation of how healthcare gets paid.
Well done. You good? Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
I'll take it. Good. You go this way. I'll take this.
Thank you.
Okay, we're off to a great start, Colleen. We're going to, I think, change over some judges. Just need a couple of minutes to do that, and then we'll meet our fourth competitor. Thank you. All right, before I bring out the next competitor, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our next group of judges. First of all, let's thank our first group of judges for a job well done there. Great questions. Okay, the next 5 judges are from Rev 1 Ventures, Ryan Helion. Let's welcome Ryan, please. From Generator, Lauren Usher. Welcome, Lauren. From 125 Ventures, Laureen Pendleton. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. From our good friends at Armory Square Ventures, Anthony Santaro. Welcome. A little bit out of order here. Last but not least, one of our finals judges, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Heidi Diamond. Welcome. Okay, let's meet our next competitor. Please welcome to the stage M.G. Shea from Integral Health.
Hi, I'm MJ, founder of Integral Health and a proud Navy veteran. When I served, I never lost my sailors to combat. It was addiction and suicide that took them from me. Our national mental health crisis needs new solutions. We need them now. Almost everyone here knows someone who's suffering, and most of them can't get the care they need when they need it. The truth is, mental health is one of the hardest things for a primary care physician to identify and manage. They don't have the time or resources to help their patients navigate to a mental health clinician. The result, only 10% of us actually make it to a mental health appointment. Now, this is what Integral is here to solve. We help motivated, caring physicians get their patients to mental health clinician quickly and easily. Integral is powered by an AI co-pilot that bridges the gap between primary care and mental health. So how does it work? First, we identify patients who need help by scanning clinical notes and medical data for patterns. We uncover 50% more patients, and our prediction model finds patients even earlier in their journey. Then, Nightingale, our AI agent, coordinates a care team, the doctor, therapist, and patient in one secure chat. She understands your treatment plan. She checks in with you daily, and she coordinates everything behind the scenes. But most importantly, Nightingale does not replace doctors. She supports them. So busy doctors only get the information that requires their attention, therapists focus on therapy, and patients get support every day. The result, our patients with Nightingale are 6 times more likely to complete their appointment. Now we're moving fast, and we have the traction to prove it. In just 18 months, we reached 1.5 million in ARR with 2,000 patients on the platform. We already have 8 hospitals and clinics using Integral today. In just 18 months, that's light speed in healthcare. And even more encouraging, we have signed contracts that will triple our revenue by the end of next year. So what's great about healthcare is if you solve a hard problem, you get to build a great company. And digital mental health is a massive market. We know it well. So we're the dream team. I'm a serial healthcare founder. I've helped scale a healthcare startup to over 100 million in revenue. My CTO he built a Sequoia-backed unicorn. And our physician leader was the chief medical officer at Humana. And our first Buffalo hire, Adam, brings in deep local healthcare expertise. Together, our team is united by one mission: to make our national mental health crisis a thing of the past. And we're proud to call Buffalo our home. I moved from San Francisco to Buffalo over a year ago because Buffalo has world-class healthcare systems, but the fewest primary care doctor per capita. This is where Integral can do the most good. And that's why our visionary leaders at Catholic Health and Independent Health were the first to bring our solution to market. Now, together, Buffalo will lead the nation in transforming how primary care and mental health will work together for patients. Now, imagine a world where no one suffers in silence, where the system actually catches you before you fall and gets you what you need. We're Integral, and that's the world we're here to build today. Thank you, Buffalo.
All right. You hang on to that. You might need it. Okay, who's going to kick us off here? Heidi.
Hi, nice presentation, thank you. And Not to sound like everybody else, but thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the pricing model, how PCPs are paying for the service?
Sure. So the PCPs bill the health plans. Health plan reimburses PCPs, and the physicians pays us. So it's a revenue share model. Per patient, it's about $250 per month, and physicians keep about $50, but they have an opportunity to scale that to about $100, $125 with the quality incentive, and Integral keeps $200.
We'll go here, Ryan, then I'll come back to you, Andrew.
Great presentation, and congratulations on your traction.
Thank you.
I'm interested, across the first few hospital systems that you were successful closing, what have you learned about the selling process? What's the right entry point? What are kind of the key milestones in really qualifying and then ultimately closing and then onboarding a customer? Just really interested in how that's played out for you.
Good question.
Yeah, great question. So we're proud that we learned by moving to Buffalo, and we understand the value of being glued to the customers. And that's how we learned. So we shortened the implementation period to about 2 weeks. And we really do weekly experiments with our primary care physician partners to make sure that the workflow works for them and for patients, so we can really surface the unmet needs from their patient base. That's how we learned. And now, because of that, we're scaling with our distribution partners, who are our health plans and IPAs, because they have vested interest in scaling the system because of the outcomes and the cost reductions that we can generate.
Anthony.
Could you share a bit more about your own background and where you met your co-founder, CTO?
Yeah, so I've been searching for the right CTO for many years. And we were fortunate to meet through a mutual friend who's worked with him with his past unicorn before, Coupang. And yeah, we share sort of a hometown friend together. That's how we got together. And my background, ever since retiring from the Navy, yeah, I built 3 other companies, 2 in non-healthcare and last one in healthcare.
Been busy.
Great presentation. So this is the behavioral health space is a very crowded space. I know a lot of VC money is flowing to it. So how do you differentiate yourself and your company? And then also in terms of IP, defensible moat, do you have IP? What are you thinking around that?
Great question. So we think of that in 2 different points. First, we focus on the much bigger market. So most other mental health players focus on that 25% of patients who have the means and the will to get to a mental health appointment. Now we focus on the 75%. And how do we do that? Through primary care integration, which is our second point. We go deep into how do we fit into the primary care workflow, and we start with the medical data. So from day one, we have full access to their EMR records, which gives us this medical record and the outcome and engagement data that we generate. We have 360 view of a patient. That's the longitudinal data set that no other players can replicate. That feeds right back into our product flywheel to continue to improve on our model.
Lauren,
what about IP?
Lauren, I'll come back to
IP. What are you doing in terms of IP, defensible moat? Like, do you have any IP? Like, are you?
Yeah, so our prediction model is patent pending.
Okay.
Yeah, and exactly.
Thanks.
I'm back to pricing for a second. So the PCP is the one that's paying. The AI is referring the patient to a mental health, behavioral health practitioner. How's the PCP following along during that journey? And why is the PCP the one that's paying $250 a month per patient versus the mental health practitioner?
Right, so it's a revenue share model. So the reimbursement flows through the PCP. And the PCPs keep that $50 out of that $250 because they're the ones also being in the loop and identifying care and making that connection through the mental health clinician, and through the partnership and co-branding, we do sort of joint outreach to the patients.
And how's the PCP tracking along the patient's adherence to whatever the mental health practitioner's program is?
Great question. So we do monthly reporting with the PCP so that we review every patient in the program. We review how their outcomes are improving, what other interventions that we can do on a holistic level.
Good. We're going to go to Lauren, and I'll come back to you.
Thanks, MJ. What has been the most helpful, critical piece of feedback that you've received from users, patients, and doctors?
Yeah, great question. So we really focus on removing the friction. For a lot of the patients, because we have this data-driven approach of identifying patients before they surface that need to either to a PCP or their insurance plans, then we really focus on how do we do that outreach, the first contact with the patient. And we do weekly experiments based on their population and the demographic. So for example, some patients prefer getting text messages, some of the younger patients, and they can do digital onboarding. Some patients like to receive a phone call. Some patients like the connection from the PCP to initiate that appointment.
All right, time for one more quick question. Anthony, do you have one?
Yes, thanks. You have a really impressive pipeline that seems to be growing. How are you generating this pipeline? Is there any channels? Is it direct inbound, outbound?
Yeah, glad you asked that. So one of our biggest success in our early days has been how do we make sure that the outcome is shared to our partners, which are physicians and health plans. So the health plans, the independent health, has been our first partner to volunteer to be the distribution partner. So now they're making that connection and introducing us to the rest of their network. That's how we could scale so fast. With the pipeline of other health plans that we have, we are able to scale to 10 million in the next 2 years.
Well, I've done it there. Great job. Nice job, Judge. That's me. You'll shake my hand. I'll go back, so you go this way. All right, great. Thank you. All right, let's see who's up next. Good job, judges. All right, I think this is our 5th competitor. Please welcome to the stage Davina Desai from Kinometrics. Best of luck. Have fun here.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning. Every day in the US, a patient falls in a hospital room, sometimes right after a nurse has left their bedside. Nearly 1 million patients fall in US hospitals each year. A third of those falls result in some sort of an injury. It extends the length of stay on average by 10 days. The cost of a hospital fall, regardless of injury, is upwards of $35,000. That is $35 billion spent annually on a single preventable harm event. Also, hospitals receive little to no reimbursement for fall-related care. Falls are a huge problem, and hospitals have processes in place to try and prevent falls, which include nurses risk assessing patients at least once per shift. But the current risk assessments in use rely on manual documentation and have subjective scoring. They overestimate risk and fail to catch real danger. Nurses don't need to complete additional documentation. They need tools that support them. We built Kinometrics to redefine how hospitals predict and prevent harm, a machine learning platform that leverages data and provides real actions. We integrate seamlessly with any electronic health record, and we provide not only risk scores, but recommended interventions directly into the patient chart. It's where the nurses are charting, so there's no additional clicks for them, no added burden to them. Benchmarked on over 500,000 patient records, Kinometrics outperforms the gold standard with 25% higher accuracy and 42% fewer false alarms. So nurses trust it and patients remain safe. We're already contracted with Bon Secours Mercy Health, an approximately 10,000 bed health system, in advanced discussions with 3 additional large health systems, and we are now in contracting with outpatient dialysis. They approached us to bring Kinemetrix to all their facilities, so we now have our customers, potential customers, also coming directly to us. The team behind Kinemetrix knows healthcare from the inside out. Each of us has spent over a decade in hospitals solving the problems we are currently addressing with Kinemetrix. And now is the time to scale. Right here in Buffalo. We chose Buffalo because Buffalo is where healthcare innovation meets grit. Our goal is to grow to $100 million right here in Buffalo, save local health systems $28 million annually in preventable fall costs, and prove that the next great company in healthcare can be built right here in Buffalo. Thank you.
Okay. Let's get started. That was quick. Well done. Who's first? We'll start with you.
Very nice presentation, and congratulations on the traction you're getting. I'm curious as to what are the real interventions that your software is triggering within the hospital in terms of what is the nurse doing differently in terms of the patient to manage the fall risk? In your early pilot, how have you seen like that behavior change, play out?
So what we are recommending are interventions that are available. We're not asking them to buy additional interventions, but the interventions are triggered by why the patient presents this high fall risk. So if the patient has delirium, for example, the intervention is linked to the patient being delirious, so remote video monitoring, as opposed to if it's a medication, then the intervention is more frequent rounding or scheduled toileting. So the interventions are not different, but they're linked to the risk drivers. How that's working out is nurses no longer have to figure out what intervention, or they think, okay, we scored the patient as high fall risk, but they don't know why. So they're just trying to figure out, okay, what intervention is available? What can we deploy? This essentially tells them why a patient is high fall risk as well. So the intervention's linked to the why.
Get it. Anthony.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit more about the competitive landscape? So what's considered the gold standard today, and are there other startups addressing this problem?
Yes, so the gold standard is still the manual documentation that's completed. They're built into the electronic health record, but they're manual. Our largest competitor would have been Epic. It's the most used electronic health record. They do have a falls analytics module. But recently, Bon Secours is the one that confirmed for us Epic is not going to create a clinical decision support system like Kinemetrix. Bon Secours is also an Epic first shop. So they checked with Epic, and Epic said it's not on their roadmap. So how we are doing it, we're the only ones doing this.
Thank you.
Heidi.
So hospitals are rewarded with reimbursement through HCAPS, that system. I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV sometimes. So how does, you mentioned something about falls not being reimbursed. How does this factor into the HCAP scoring?
So HCAP scores are patients' experience during their hospitalization. If you fall, that's a negative experience. So that impacts your HCAP scores. It lowers them, so your reimbursement percentage also comes down. So yes, this falls play into HCAPs. They also play into litigation and lawsuits, because falls are never events for hospitals. If a patient falls, more often than not, there is usually some sort of a lawsuit or settlement there as well.
Can you talk about your sales cycle? Selling into healthcare systems is a, really long, typically a long sales cycle. So talk about that. And then also, can your technology be used for other things besides fall?
Yes.
You have other use cases? Yeah. Love to hear about that as well.
Sure. So from a sales cycle, it's true. Healthcare sales cycles are longer. They have a lot more governance than a lot of other industries. So it takes anywhere between 9 to 12 months, if not longer. Bon Secours for us, for example, was somewhere between 9 to 12 months. From other use cases, yes, we're now building our modules for pressure injuries. We're working on building an entire platform that addresses nurse-sensitive indicators. So hospital-acquired pressure injuries, HAPIs. Then we're going to add central line-associated bloodstream infections and catheter-associated urinary tract infections. All of those are preventable harm events that fall under nursing. So we want a clinical decision support platform that addresses all of that.
Follow up or no? Lauren?
Your impetus for starting this, I saw you were the head of nursing. What inspired you to move forward?
So falls are a big problem, and whenever we're trying to solve falls within healthcare, I come from working within a hospital system, it had always been, okay, let's try and see what new intervention exists. We got tired of buying interventions because you can't keep adding resources when we thought the resources were not working. But what precedes all of that is that risk assessment. If you don't assess the patient appropriately, the intervention is not going to work. So we really wanted to go back to the root, is why is none of that working? It's because we don't understand who is truly a fall risk and why.
Okay, Lauren.
Davina, can you talk a little bit more about the generalizability of your results to other health systems? So how much does it rely on factors within the hospital or within the doctor themselves?
So we use universal documentation, which means everything we use in our module is documented at every hospital. So we can generalize this to any health system. We are essentially also EHR agnostic, but when we initially built it, we wanted to make sure it can expand to anybody, so it uses universal documentation.
And I mean more in the behavior change for the doctors. What evidence do you have right now that your indicators make the doctors act differently?
Still collecting that, but it's also, I don't want to call it force functioned, but when we recommend interventions, it's built in where it makes it difficult for nurses to switch interventions. They have to write in an explanation. So more often than not, they do follow the process.
Time for one more. Who's got it? Anthony? Then we'll...
When customers looking or prospects looking at trialing or piloting your platform, what are some of the key milestones they want to see achieved before they feel comfortable moving forward with a full contract?
So it's generally a 15% reduction in falls, a 15% reduction in false positives, so those false alarms, and then they're generally looking for a downward trend in utilization of some high-cost interventions.
Thanks.
Okay, Ryan, we had
just real quick, it kind of builds off Anthony's. The pricing and the bed equation, how has that resonated, with early customer conversations? Do you get pushback on pricing? Do you think that pricing is sustainable based on what you've learned so far?
We actually have, the pricing has been received very, very well. Two reasons, because even at that pricing of $40 per bed per month, we are still, and a 25% reduction in falls still gives them like a 19-to-1 return on investment. So from that pricing standpoint, we haven't received much pushback.
We'll have to end it there. Great job. We'll give that to me. Great. All right. I'm just trying not to fall off the stage. Okay. We are, I'm dead serious. We are going to make another judges change, I think, so we'll just need a couple of minutes. And let's give our current set of judges a round of applause for a great job. Thank you so much. Let's meet our next group of judges here, and then we'll get to our, I believe, our sixth competitor. Okay, from Marquee Ventures, please join me in welcoming Eric Hammer. I'm going to do the best I can. From Level Up Ventures, Shashi Trikantan. From New York Ventures, Jennifer Teagan. And last but not least, from Advantage Capital, Sam Schechting. Welcome. Okay, let's meet our, I believe it's our sixth competitor, right? J.D. Mitchell from Modica, please.
Good morning, Buffalo. Let's talk about cocktails. I'm JD, co-founder of Modica. I founded Modica with Eric Wentworth, a 15-year mixologist who trained under industry icons like the master taster at Old Forester. He's founded nationally recognized bars and now owns one of the South's premier nightclubs. We met while working full-time and earning our MBAs at night and quickly bonded over the shared love of a good cocktail. But even with Eric's background, at the end of those long days, we didn't have the time or energy to make a great drink from scratch. We looked for a shortcut, but the mixers we found were packed with 30 grams of sugar, synthetic dyes, and preservatives. In 2023, Mintel reported 100 million Americans make cocktails at home. But that experience hasn't kept up with modern expectations. In bars, cocktails are elevated and premium. But at home, most mixers make something more like candy than cocktails. Every other beverage category, water, coffee, energy, soda, they've all been disrupted by premium, better-for-you brands. Mixers are one of the last untouched categories. So, in 2021, after 2 years of R&D, we launched Modica, the first mixers that deliver bar-quality cocktails in seconds. Our all-natural mixers use up to 70% less sugar and include favorites like the blueberry lavender lemon drop and espresso martini. Modica is doing for cocktails what Nespresso did for coffee, bringing a premium professional experience into your everyday life. And we've proven Modica sells and scales. In Q2 and Q3, revenue grew 4 times year over year to $800,000 in trailing 12 months. This year, we've expanded from 350 to 3,500 stores nationwide, including a national launch with Sprouts and a rollout with Whole Foods next month. And our velocities are up to 3 times higher than competitors. Over the last 5 months, we've built and optimized our e-commerce funnel, achieving first-order profitability in month 1 and growing sales to $10,000 per month. And we're on track to do $100,000 in sales within the next 4 months. That growth is driven largely by our content creation strategy. We consistently produce viral content. Actually, we have a video going viral right now. And as a result, we've built an audience of 100,000 Instagram followers, more than twice the reach of our top 3 competitors combined. And we have over 100 million views on our content. We've unlocked the code to growth, and investment will accelerate what's already working. Modica sits at the intersection of 2 powerful shifts: premium cocktail culture and the rise of non-alcoholic drinking. Post-pandemic, consumer behavior has shifted, and more people are drinking from home, fueling 9% annual growth in the $23 billion cocktail mixer market. At the same time, premiumization and moderation are rising together, fueling the non-alcoholic cocktail movement. Modica sits right in the middle. So whether you're mixing with vodka or club soda, you're reaching for the same bottle. We're scaling in channels where Modica is already outperforming. We'll expand into food service and then grow nationally into conventional grocery, club, and larger hospitality markets. Eric is our CEO. As a career mixologist and business owner, he brings 15 years of expertise in beverage and hospitality. I serve as our COO with 10 years in sales and marketing, from startups up to Fortune 500s, and I was the top salesperson in the history of my department at Marsh & McLennan. We're also supported by mentors and advisors who have combined 100 years of expertise at major beverage brands like E.J. Gallo, Sazerac, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and Cutwater. We are so excited to be in Buffalo, where we can scale smarter and faster. We've already lined up Mayer Brothers for production and Remix Logistics for fulfillment, and we'll create a long-term hub for sales and distribution, adding 5 new local jobs in our first year. Buffalo puts us at the center of key retailers like Wegmans and Hannaford, and within a day's drive of half the US population. That efficiency drives expansion. We'll scale into 750 new stores next year and drive revenue to $4 million in 2026, a key milestone on our path to $40 million by 2029. In Buffalo, you don't just cheer for the home team, you join the mafia. That passion is why we're betting on Buffalo and why we know Buffalo will bet on Modica. Cheers.
Okay.
And I'll invite Eric on stage to help with Q&A.
So you're bringing your Eric's coming up. Okay, great. All right, you hang on to that. You might need that. Who's going to kick us off? All right, Shashi.
Hi, great presentation. So it seems like you have 2 different customers here, right? Those enjoying non-alcoholic beverages, those who want cocktail mixers. How do you kind of market to each? Is the customer the same customer in some instances? Are they 2 separate, distinct customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, when we were exhibiting at Expo West this past March, we had great conversations with retailers exactly about that. And they've shown us, and the data has proven, that 75% of consumers who are drinking non-alc are actually also drinking full alc. So a product like ours was really approachable for those retailers because it serves both consumers at once.
Eric?
Can you share a little bit about your D2C customers, repeat rates? I know the mixes go bad within a month, I think. So have you tried any subscription sales or anything to get people to buy more direct?
Yeah, so we actually have an 18-month shelf life on them.
Okay.
And as we've just built out D2C, we've had some incredible success. So we've already increased AOV from $52 to $83, a 60% increase. Our LTV is $210, and our CAC is $28, which will continue to decrease as we focus on content efficiency and optimized creatives.
Good question. Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm just curious, it looks fun and interesting. I'm not an Instagram user, so I don't think I've seen the product previously. But talk to me a little bit more about how this is, how do you maintain and sustain that momentum and commitment to the product when others will, surely if you guys do well, will begin to enter the market. So talk about the brand that you're building and the loyalty that you're driving by how you're thinking through the product and the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's probable and even likely that other brands will try to copy what we're doing. We've seen big companies try to commercialize mixers in the past. Pepsi with Neon Zebra, Coca-Cola with Bar None. Both of those were discontinued, I think because they couldn't replicate the authenticity that brands are looking for, and also big brands are typically not great at innovating. So copycats especially might mimic our ingredients, but they can't copy our execution and our success with the community. So Modica's 100,000 person fan base combined with our mixologist credibility, our proven velocity, gives us brand equity that's really difficult to replicate and copy. On the innovation side, we're working on 2 additional flavors and looking to essentially cycle in different flavors so that people are always having something different to try. And then we're also working on a food service format so that consumers can experience that in bars and restaurants as well.
Sam, you got a question? Yeah. Please.
Strong velocity and a premium price point. I guess what pushback have you seen from buyers?
It's interesting because buyers are now looking at the non-alc category as well, and the non-alc category is typically very premium. And like I said, with the premiumization and modernization of non-alc, consumers are looking to trade up for a higher value product. It's interesting, if you look at what's commercially available now, most mixers fall anywhere from $6 to $7. So ours is a very affordable luxury at $10.99 in most major retail. And even in independents, we've seen retail between $15 and $17.99 with high repeat purchase rates.
Jennifer, please. Go.
Yeah, what's
Keep it
your
going.
favorite, to the mixologist, what's your favorite alcoholic drink among these mixers that you've created?
Yeah,
and what's
a great
your
point.
favorite non-alcoholic?
I do want to say also we have pre-mixed bottles in front of you. They're mixed with water, unfortunately, not booze. But I would recommend trying all of them. The two best sellers are the
You already tried.
Blueberry Lavender Lemon Drop and the Espresso Martini, and they're just ready to pour. So I would say alcohol-wise, I love the Espresso Martini with a Reposado tequila. And as a mocktail, my go-to is definitely the Blueberry Lavender.
Got to work Grey Goose in there somehow, but we'll talk about that later. All right, Shashi.
So when you look at your competitors, are any of them also doing what you're doing, which is sitting between kind of, alcoholic and non-alcoholic? And do you see more people kind of entering that? Because I hadn't seen something like this. It seems fairly unique.
Yeah, largely, our three largest competitors have not ventured strongly into the mocktail space. They're really committed to the cocktail space, and they're still victims of the category itself. So up to 275% more sugar, 4 times the amount of calories. They use the chemical dyes and preservatives that people don't want to drink anymore.
Yes, a follow-up.
Follow up, please, go ahead, yeah.
So when you
Go.
think of yourselves as a brand, right, what do you kind of stand for? Is it wellness? Is it kind of culture? Is it, like, what lane are you looking to sit in?
Yeah, it's really from the perspective, I think, especially of having a mixologist who's founded and created these mixers. Anyone can use one of these and create a really sophisticated drink at home. So really boosting social appeal. If you're having people over or if you're relaxing at home by yourself, you can enjoy a really high quality drink, whether that's with booze or without, in the peace of your own home, or you can invite people and host events as well. So it's both a social and wellness appeal.
Okay, we got time for one more question. Eric, please go ahead.
On the pricing points, you mentioned $10.99. Have you been able to hold that consistent with all your distribution partners? So, with TJX, are they pushing you on price at all, or have you been able to hold that line?
They do not push us on price. We've actually, most of our modeling is at $12.99, and we've received really excellent consumer feedback about that. With Sprouts at $10.99 especially, that's through a cost-plus agreement with our distributor. But with $12.99, it's a really steady price point for consumers, and at independent retail, we see $3 to $4 higher than that even.
Okay, we can squeeze one more in. Guys, any more questions? Busy drinking here.
Yeah, it's good.
This is fantastic.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. It's my favorite.
Well, that's a good way to end it.
Even
Good
better
job,
with
guys.
tequila.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Good job, man.
Thanks, man.
Really well done. Thank you. Okay. Save some for me, guys. All right. That's pretty cool, right? Colleen, good, right? Mixers, home, it's good. All right. Up next, our 7th competitor from the UK. Please welcome to the stage Lauren Bell from Cozy Care.
Imagine not being able to comfort your child when they're in pain. That was the case for my parents. My name is Lauren, co-founder of Cozy Care, and we've created the world's first safe scratching medical devices for eczema and itchy skin. My little brother Reese was diagnosed with severe eczema at the age of 3. He scratched his skin until it bled, which led to scarring, infections, and emotional trauma. Eczema is unbearably itchy, and telling someone just not to scratch is like telling them not to blink. And eczema is just the start. 1 in 5 people suffer from chronic itch, 20% of the population. A total addressable market of $100 billion, with 223 million people suffering globally. Our SAM in the USA is valued at $18 billion, a market that's growing 6% year on year. This is the itch-scratch cycle, where the more you scratch, the more you itch, which will lead to open wounds and needing steroids, biologics, and antibiotics. A frustrating, expensive, and repetitive cycle that makes skin disease a lot worse. With antibiotic resistance on the horizon, there is a desperate need for instant therapeutic relief at a fraction of the cost that will not cause the same long-term side effects. Our FDA-registered medical devices combine cold, texture, massage, and distraction, methods scientifically proven to instantly kill itch without the damage. Our hero product, the Scratch Star, feels like your fingernails, but won't break the skin. We now have a range of 6 medical devices, all IP protected, a cooling skincare range to build out our reoccurring revenue, an electronic range, and an upcoming app to add to our subscription model. We aren't one product. We are an itchy skin ecosystem creating an instant relief revolution. And our customers call it life-changing. We've had features in BBC News and British Vogue and have reached over 20 million people. I live this problem too. I have eczema myself and 7 years commercializing and manufacturing medical devices with my engineering and design degree. Our co-founder and CFO, Sandeep, has decades of blue chip experience within finance and strategy, has managed over $500 million in revenue at IBM. Our Buffalo-based partners include Dr. Bethany Lima, a dermatologist in VC, Josh Mitchell from Regeneron, the company behind Dupixent, the world's leading eczema biologic. We have FDA, operations, marketing, finance. Every inch of this mission is covered with our team. And look what we've achieved. 2.4 million in revenue, 40,000 products sold with a less than 0.1% return rate. And we've created a hybrid UK and international supply chain. B2C, we will replicate our success in the USA by leveraging viral content and paid media. B2B, we will collaborate with Dr. Bethany Lima and her 5,000 strong clinical network to provide clinical samples and HSA FSA reimbursement. And we've got 3 million in value in stock landing in the USA next week, so we are ready to scale. And look what we can achieve in the UK. We've doubled our revenue every single year since 2021, and the USA market is even bigger, 10 times bigger. We forecast $270 million in revenue within 4 years. And our financial forecast has massive upside with all these other itchy skin conditions. Remember, 20% of the population will suffer with chronic itch. If it's menopause, oncology, diabetes, the list is endless. And we would love for the home of our mission to be Buffalo. We have already connected with manufacturers here, the Rookery Polymer Medical, who have costed our devices and confirmed commercial viability here. We want to create a hub providing itch relief globally. In 5 years, creating 220 jobs, spending 26 million on stock, and paying 35 million in tax. 43North funding will accelerate our proud Made in Buffalo range, help us hire talent from BU and the surrounding areas, and fast-track our B2B model with clinicians and our partner, Dr. Bethany Lima. I believe if my little brother had access to Cozy Care when we were little, today he would not be permanently, physically, and mentally scarred. With your support, we can turn pain into peace for millions that are currently suffering. If you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, and together we can solve the global itch crisis right here in the heart of Buffalo. Thank you for listening.
Well done.
I'd love to introduce my co-founder, Sandeep, to the stage.
Okay, you might want to hang on to that, right? Yeah. Okay, who's joining here on stage, Lauren?
Good morning. I'm Sandeep Pleho. I'm co-founder of Cozy Care. I'm the boring one. I'm the finance guy.
All right, let's get it going. Who's going to Sam? We'll start with you, or?
Sure. How do you maintain a competitive moat? Is there any IP associated with the product?
Yes, we have quite a diverse IP strategy. So we have a patent pending in the USA, UK, and Europe, as well as trademarks and design rights. We also have a very unique metal finishing process with a company that we've spent nearly 6 years developing. So our barrier to entry is very, very high, not only with our IP portfolio, but the actual processes that we use in our medical devices as well.
Okay. Jen?
You were here last year?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
I was a semi-finalist last year, yeah.
So can you, a couple things. One, can you talk about the progress that you've made year over year?
Yeah.
And also what moves you've made into Buffalo, into making additional connections here in the past year?
Absolutely. So we actually launched in the USA last week, and we've done $100,000 in revenue. We have built connections with Buffalo manufacturers that have costed not only our tools but our unit economics. So we know that it's commercially viable to make it here in Buffalo. And then in regards to growth from last year, we're on track to hit $3 million in revenue this year.
Yeah, and just to reiterate a point there, 100,000 in the last 7 days. Now, if we to extrapolate those numbers to the year end, we're looking at a sales revenue of close to $1 million. And that's without any presence in the US at the moment. We haven't started any marketing and any PR. So imagine what's going to happen once we get this lovely individual in front of the right crowds going forward.
Have you made any hires here in Buffalo?
We haven't made any hires yet, but we know exactly who we'd hire in January in regards to marketing managers and operational support. We've also welcomed Poppy VC, who are a Buffalo-based VC group with Dr. Bethany Lima and Josh Mitchell. They have fantastic experience within this field, and they will really kind of catapult us into the US over the next year.
Yeah, and just to, on that point there about creating new jobs, we spoke with the local manufacturing partner that we're trying to work with at the moment, the CEO. He's confirmed, based on the numbers that we're forecasting, we're looking at between 80 to 100 new roles being created in Buffalo.
Eric?
So the Scratch Star retails for $75 US, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So we have 6 medical devices, all designed for different areas of the body. So if you get itchy fingers, itchy scalp, itchy face, we have a device for every area of the body, and that retails at $75. We also launched our bundle scheme where you can group products to save a bit of money as well. So that's been working really well for us.
So taking the Star, for example, what's the gross margin on that? Like fully burdened, and what's the plan to drive those margins over time?
Direct to consumer at the moment, it's around 72%.
Okay.
And obviously there'll be some erosion of that margin when we go to B2B, but again, we factor that all into our P&L going forward, and we're quite comfortable in what we're doing there.
Shasheen?
So how do you see your company today and or evolving? So is it a medical device company? Is it like a consumer wellness company?
So we are a little bit of both, in the sense that we offer everything someone needs when they have itchy skin. If that's skincare, if that's medical device, we are an itch relief company. 20% of the population suffers with chronic itch, and we are there to provide a solution to that instant relief solution.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, the product seems really amazingly sturdy and well built. I'm curious, when somebody buys the one that works, or one or two that work best for them, like what's the lifetime value of your customer?
So the lifetime value of our customer is currently $2,000 when we actually factor in the devices that are currently $85. But with skincare, what we've projected is when you have eczema, you have eczema for life. We'll build brand loyalty, and someone will commit to our skincare range that is complementary to the devices. So we have sprays that you can clean them with. We have gels that you can use them glide on your skin. We have patches that help you sleep better at night. So everything in our itchy skin ecosystem is complementary to each other. And for decades to come, you'll have eczema flares. It's genetics. You'll have children with eczema. So our brand will become a household name for itchy skin. I also want to demonstrate our electronic product as well, which is the more premium option in our range, and you'll get cold at the touch of a button. So if you're on a plane, traveling with a child, in a car, school trip, you've got that more premium electronic range as well. So in total, $2,000 per customer.
And that's just one other product which has been launched in Q1 2026. We've got another 4 or 5 products that are ready to be prepared and launched in 2026.
So piggybacking off of Jennifer's question, of your revenue, what percentage are new customers and what percent are existing?
So we only have a reoccurring customer rate of 16% currently, but we expect that to dramatically increase once we launch our skincare range. We have 40,000 people that currently use these products. So when we launch a spray to keep them clean, when we launch a gel to use them to glide on your skin, a moisturizer, shower gel, all these other things, these consumables that are complementary to the range, that's what will kind of snowball that side of it.
Time for one more. Sam, any more questions? Okay, we'll end it there. Great job, guys.
Amazing, thank you.
You go this way, I'll take that.
Thanks,
She's going to go that way. Being difficult. All right. Okay, we got one more to go before lunch. Everybody having fun? All right. I'm sure there's something in here about where lunch is, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, we're going to welcome our 8th competitor to Buffalo today. His name is Robin Young. Please welcome from Precious Creatures.
Hi, I'm Robin. Any dog lovers here today? Yeah. They're so good to us. It's really sad that they eat such terrible food. Most dogs today eat highly processed carbohydrates that aren't good for any animal, let alone carnivores. Even the expensive stuff is often laden with preservatives and synthetic vitamins. But we're here to change that. In just 2 years, we've built the world's largest community for feeding dogs fresh food. We've accumulated over 1 billion views of our social media content, and we're still growing. Our audience is highly engaged. And I wish that I could say it was all skill, but it was a lot of luck. We recruited a star-studded team, as you can see here, and that was lucky. Also, we had to have a post go viral, and that was really lucky. After that, we made 2 critical strategic decisions. The first was to always do good for our audience and for our customers. And then the second was to always iterate and constantly improve our craft. A couple examples of this. The first is our content. We started with an iPhone on the floor. We didn't even know how to use digital cameras. And now we run a full production studio with rotating sets, stages, moving lights. It's a lot of work. Even our products followed a similar trajectory. We started repackaging other people's products. Then we made our own treats. Some of them went viral. And then after that, we developed a whole line of 100% whole food, super nutritious diets that people and dogs love. Finally, our book. We started with a super simple self-published PDF. That led to a best-selling Substack newsletter. And the Substack newsletter formed the foundation of our upcoming traditionally published book that's already a national bestseller based on just pre-sales alone. And it's not just cute, it's the most well-researched and the easiest to use resource ever published in this space. If you love your dog, or you know someone who does, you have to have this book. You have my money-back guarantee from me personally, so go get it. The book represents our best effort to provide the highest quality whole nutrition diets at every price point. Most of the competitors today, they focus on price and cost. But for us, low cost just means slightly more effort. As you move up the price point, our products get progressively easier to use and more fun to feed your best friends. So then low cost isn't shameful, it's aspirational. And there's growth built in. Over the last 3 months, we've had progressively higher record revenues just simply because we're launching new products. So we're going to need a lot of these. And the only way to do that is to control your own manufacturing. So if you'll have us, we're going to do that right here in Buffalo, leveraging the strategic location, the awesome people, and of course, this incredible 43North program. Having lots of SKUs means that you can pick only the very best to take nationally to the Targets, Costco's, Walmarts of the world. But why stop there? We get this comment all the time. People want a fine dining dog restaurant. Now, this is a terrible idea. No, we're not doing this. But it tells me that people want something more. So that's exactly what we're going to give them. If you'll have us, we'll launch the next generation of pet retail right here in Buffalo. It's going to be something like Chipotle cross Amazon Fresh, cross the Apple Genius Bar. We're going to know your pets so well that we can recommend the ideal products, the ideal foods to optimize their health and well-being. So if you want that, buy the book. And buy for 10 of your best friends. Our publisher, they actually didn't print enough, so they went to a second print, and then now they're considering a third. So buying it not just helps your dogs, but it also helps the publisher and then all the people that might not get the book if we run out. So together, we can make the lives of our best friends just a little bit better. Thank you.
Kind of like a dog. I like the dog restaurant idea. All right.
Fine dining.
Eric, we'll go.
Very, very cool dog lifestyle brand you've built.
Thank you, sir.
Kind of a holistic approach. I noticed the out of stocks on your site, and you referenced it. What's the root cause of those?
We simply can't produce it fast enough.
Okay.
So our manufacturing base is just not strong enough currently, so we need to take that in-house.
Okay.
Yeah, we're constantly launching new products. So that's really the key for growth.
So it seems like the media side of your business is promoting kind of make it home, I assume?
Yeah, right. That's right.
And then you've got the product side. So how do you see those two kind of coexisting?
Yeah, so as I said, the value curve, as you go up, it becomes more and more turnkey and easier to feed. So in many ways, the current options are not premium enough. So you make it super simple, no cooking involved, obviously, and super visually pleasing as it gets more and more expensive.
Do you find that customers go back and forth, though, or are customers, staunchly in one group or the other?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Initially, we thought there might be cannibalization, but people kind of stay in their lane, and each successive SKU just adds more revenue. So far.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm a scientist, and I'm a big believer in science, and I didn't hear you mention that once in anything that you said, and I know, and I love my pets. I if my pug could be here right now with me, he would be. And my vet recently sent out an email that said that some of these companies, these fresh food companies, are actually making dogs sick because they're not properly, including the types of ingredients and things that dogs actually really need in order to stay healthy over the course of their life. So I'm really curious what's behind the development of your products and how you're helping people to make sure that pets aren't just getting fresh food, but are getting the right level of nutrition that they're supposed to be getting.
Yeah. The skipping over science was intentional, just because we didn't want to inundate people with too much science. But the book, like I mentioned, is the most well-researched book ever in the space. We covered tens of thousands of research papers to get the optimal diet for dogs. And I think the biggest problem that you're discussing right now is that the veterinary industry, just very bluntly, is influenced heavily by the food manufacturers. So most people don't know this, but the food industry employs most of the vets in America. And so they actually dictate the research within veterinarian schools, unfortunately. But if you look at the research, even published by Mars, dogs fed whole food diets don't show any signs of deficiencies. And if you look at the longest lived dogs in history, they all eat homemade whole food diets. And none of them come from America, unfortunately.
Interesting. Italian dog.
But check out the book. It really is the most scientifically well-researched book. And it's endorsed by Matt Caberline of the Dog Aging Project, who's the leading researcher in dog longevity.
Sam.
You talked about growth through SKU addition.
Yes, sir.
That can become cumbersome, obviously. I guess, can you talk a little bit about growth in the SKUs that you have today?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, each successive SKU that we add generates more revenue. And because we have a large audience, our current cost of acquisition is negative. So the engine that generates our customers is also itself a profitable business. But specifically, what do you mean about talking more about the growth of the current SKUs?
Well, are the individual SKUs that you have today continuing to see growth, or have they started to plateau already?
Oh yeah, it was still so early. I mean, we can't, like mentioned earlier, we can't keep many of these things in stock. especially as we're adding more and more products. If you look at something like Shein, like they do millions of SKUs, and Nike has like hundreds of thousands, right? So the SKU strategy is an important one for consumer goods. But yeah, so they keep on growing. Each successive SKU, it gets hit significantly when we run out of stock. And that happens far too often than we like currently.
Got time for a couple more questions. Anything else?
So you talked about customization of diets for dogs, right? So that makes me think you're collecting data. You're going to layer intelligence on top of that data at some point, right?
Right.
So can you talk about how you're collecting data, what kind of data you're collecting, what you plan to do with it?
Yeah, so I actually have a background in AI, but I'm obviously not doing a AI startup because it's too saturated now. Like, I think they're all going to get subsumed eventually by the legacy models. But yeah, so data is core because I'm a technologist at heart. But yeah, there's so many things you can do with data once you have it. Like I was saying, taking genetic information, dietary information, tests that you can run, you can target exactly what dogs need to optimize their lifespan. Yeah, so that's an ongoing process for us.
How are you convincing people? There's a lot of options out there now in the fresh pet food space.
Yeah.
So how are you convincing people that yours is the right one?
Yeah, so I think as I was mentioning earlier, most of the fresh pet foods that are available now are not really optimized for convenience nor premium quality. Like if you look at the back of Ollie or Farmer's Dog or whatever it might be, they're all fortified with synthetic vitamins and sometimes a lot of preservatives. So that alone, I think, is a differentiating factor. But also, more importantly, we're covering the whole cost curve. So if you want the premium food, but you can't spend a lot of money, you can make it at home with a little bit of products from us. And as we move forward, it becomes easier and easier. We give them ready-made things. But it's not just the product itself, it's also how it looks, how it feels. Dogs are sensory creatures. They like crunch, they like smells, but they're currently fed slop. Even the stuff that you see today, it's mostly look like slop, unfortunately. So it's not just quality alone, it's also the whole visual sensory experience.
We'll have to end it there. Great job, judges. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good job. Well done, man. Thanks. Okay, it's lunchtime. Yeah. So we got a couple of options. We got a food court, right? And underground food courts, I don't know where I'm pointing here, but it's out there. And then there's underground cafe down a floor. Be back by 12:45. We're going to kick off shortly thereafter. Thank you for your active participation today. I appreciate it. This is all very inspirational to me. When we finished before lunch, as you know, we had students from Lackawanna and Lafayette High School, and I don't know where this young lady was from, but a number of them came up to me after the event, and one of them, she said, I'm a 15-year-old girl. I wasn't born here, but I'm going to be up on this stage someday. I'm inspired to build my own business. And, I love all of you, but that is really inspirational to me. She's not here, unfortunately. I didn't get her name, but I really believe that to be the case. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We got a new group of judges. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. Let's give them a warm welcome to Buffalo. We'll start out with Antonio Dean from Black Ops VC. Welcome. From Athletes Innovate Ventures, Adam Phillips. Welcome to Buffalo. From Revolution, Rise with the Rest, big supporter of everything that we're doing here. Please welcome Isabel Steislinger. Welcome to Buffalo. Thank you so much for being here. From First Citizens Bank, Tim Davis. I think a pretty cool name here, Carson Orlani from Los Alamos, VC. Welcome, guys. Okay, let's find out who I think our 9th competitor is. Let's welcome to the stage John Morad from Fly Connect.
Thank you. Hello, Buffalo. Thank you for hosting us here today. My name is John Morad, founder and CEO of Fly Connect. Fly Connect is the app store of AI agents, allowing anyone to build and deploy AI agents in minutes for business, enterprise, and government. In just 12 months, we grew to 1,700 users, 1.8 million in revenue, and 11% month-over-month growth. FlyConnect is powered by our own 1 petabyte of market data, fueling how AI agents think, reason, and execute. Every day we hear AI is everywhere. The reality is very different. Less than 30% of small businesses take advantage of AI. In enterprise, over 90% of AI projects are still in pilot mode. In government, the majority of AI initiatives are still in planning phase. The barriers are clear: cost, integration, and security. And this is where FlyConnect comes in. By providing small businesses an AI marketplace that's affordable and ready to work. And for enterprise, a secure, isolated AI store that's affordable and secure. And for government, a secured infrastructure built for trust. It all starts with our public and private AI marketplace, providing pre-built AI agents ready to work. Every AI agent runs in secured, isolated environment, ensuring complete data privacy. We're lucky to be part of the largest technology shift in human history, with over 100 million users already building and deploying AI agents. We capitalize on this by allowing users to build and deploy AI agents to Fly platform directly from their existing tools like Cursor, Lovable, or Codex. Technology change, business fundamentals don't. Our revenue shows strong market demand and product market fit. The most interesting part about our revenue is not the fact that we reached 1.8 million in less than 12 months. It's not the fact that we reached 1,700 users. It's not the fact that we're growing 11% month over month. The most interesting part is 40% of our revenue comes directly from AI agents. It's showing huge market shift. We're a second-time founding team with proven result in technology, sales, and operations. We believe Buffalo has a very unique position in the next AI shift in terms of cost, talent availability, and access to both enterprise and government marketplace. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, who's going to kick us off? Carson, just because I like your name.
Yeah, sure. Great pitch. I'm curious, marketplaces often struggle early, to kind of balance, both ends of the spectrum from both the agent creators and also the SMBs and clients that are using it. So I'm curious, what your strategy is early on right now to incentivize both sides of that.
Absolutely. Right now, we're doing PLG, product-led growth, through our own agents. And we opened to, almost 100 million users already building on Cursor So through Cursor, you can, you can build vibe code your AI agent and just click a button to deploy it to Fly platform. That allows us to go where the users are going. They are already there, if that makes sense. So we have the balance between our own agents that we push to the platform, and users are building as well.
Isabel?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you could talk about the competitive landscape. I think everyone on the table has seen dozens of pitch decks about agentic AI. So what are the biggest competitors, and how do you guys believe that you'll maintain your moat, your differentiation, as AI agents aren't going anywhere anytime soon?
Good question.
Absolutely, that's a good question. So in terms of actual marketplace, it's only Agent.ai that exists as a complete marketplace. It's founded by the founder of HubSpot. It's more a community-based so far. OpenAI did deploy, release agent framework for builders. I think it's very early right now to have a winner in this space. We try to build modes in terms of data. We have our own 1 petabyte of market data, workflows, pricing, and so many other factors. We don't look at OpenAI as a competitor overall because we look at them as partners. So if this answers your question.
Antonio.
Could you talk to us a little bit about what you know about your current customers? Like SMBs is a huge market. What do your customers have in common in terms of size, industry, if anything, technical readiness, et cetera?
Absolutely. Most of our customers are SMB below $10 million in revenue, less than 100 employees, across the US and Europe and Southeast Asia so far. They use our agents for, the main purpose is they don't want to pay for very expensive SaaS products, and they focus more on the output than the subscription base, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Please,
Yeah.
Adam. Now,
Yeah, similar vein. I think of agents in a lot of ways as feeling disposable right now. Everybody basically spins them up and they use it for a task and then they discard it. How are you addressing that, kind of on the platform and working on stickiness so that your agents essentially become more permanent?
That's a really good question. So the way we look at our agents is we want users to use our agents in terms of output 24/7. They don't feel the software. It's almost like the light, the electricity, your utility bill. Our sales agent, for example, provides lead 24/7. It doesn't interfere with the business workflow. The stickiness of this, every single business, they want this to be running 24/7. So we build with stickiness in the design of the agent itself, if that makes sense. And that's one of the things, that's really critical on our side, is just to feel the output, not the struggle of using any software or learning anything, just getting the output out of the agent, and more output, more feeling as part of the business, if that makes sense.
Tim.
It does.
Thank you for the presentation. You highlighted security, which I'm glad you did because I think it's a core piece of the puzzle here. In terms of the security methodology, can you speak to that a little bit? And then maybe a second piece of the puzzle is, can you talk about any hiccups you've experienced with your clients on the security side of things and how you resolve that?
Absolutely. So for security, and we're really proud of the work we've done over the past 2 years, we have our own open source customized LLM that for enterprise and government, we take the entire LLM with our data. We host it on their side. You can literally unplug the internet and still works. It's completely isolated. That's on the platform itself. Now, in terms of the agent level, on the agent level, the way we create the agent runs in isolated environment. There's no ability for the agent to take the data and get it outside to, in the public domain or even into another piece of software. So for enterprise only and government, we completely provide security as number one feature, if that makes sense.
Time for one more. Who's got it?
I was going to ask.
Please, Adam.
You said the 1.8 million might not be the most interesting thing as an investor. I might beg to differ, but can you just break down the revenue a little bit? Like, how is that coming in? And you said 18 months. I think that's
12 months.
12 months.
Yeah.
That's great. So can you just break that down where that money's coming from?
Absolutely. 60% comes from subscription, which I don't like SaaS, but SaaS subscriptions. We all love SaaS, and the 40% between credit usage and marketplace fees, if that makes sense. Okay. So this is our model. Pricing is for AI agents so far, we are taking a SaaS model pricing, implementing it in a different business model. So I think everyone's changing into credit and usage and output value, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to end it there. Thank you, judges.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, man.
We
Take
appreciate
that
it.
remote control from you. You can go this way. All right. Okay, who's next? How was lunch? How was lunch? Good? Yeah? All right. How you doing, Colleen? Okay. All right, next up, our 10th competitor. His name is Ian Grant, and the company is Greenlit. Let's welcome to the stage, please. Hi. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, I like that shirt.
Appreciate it. In Hollywood, every great story starts with the script. But for filmmakers, the real drama starts with the budget. Collectively, filmmakers waste $15 billion every year chasing budgets across docs, spreadsheets, and consultants. I know this firsthand because for the past decade, I've been an actor, stuntman, and producer. How's it going, everyone? My name's Ian. I'm co-founder and CEO of Greenlit. I lived this experience, and that's why we built Greenlit, your AI co-producer. Simply upload your script, and in just 2 clicks, Greenlit generates a full film package breakdown, budget, comps, market forecasts, and projections. And when the project is complete, Greenlit manages the revenue through our collection accounts to pay back investors. And what used to cost $60,000 and weeks of wasted time, effort, and resources and consultants now happens in minutes in our AI-enabled platform. Simply put, we help filmmakers manage their financial and business back-office workflows in one platform. Since going live last year, we've grown over 500%, and we have over 600 filmmakers using Greenlit today. Since then, we've secured 6 pilot agreements worth over $250,000 from our current customers that will start converting at the top of next year. And we're just getting started. We're proud to announce that we recently partnered with Entertainment to Effect Change and Moon Holler Works, giving us access to thousands of filmmakers every single month, positioning Greenlit as the go-to financial platform for independent creators. Our SaaS and agents are $30 to $100 a month, and we take a 1% fee for all revenue processed through our collection accounts. Upsells add an extra $100 to $300 a month, bringing the average ACV of a filmmaker with a $1 million project to just over $11,000. And since launching, we show no signs of slowing down. By just converting 3% of the market, we're projected to generate over $10 million in revenue in the next 2 to 3 years. And our team is stacked with both entertainment and tech experience. I myself was the first hire of Squire Technologies and helped scale to over $1 billion in transactions. My co-founder and CTO is a senior producer and engineer, having built predictive analytic platforms from the ground floor up. Our leadership team combines over 40 years of experience building household brand names like Revolt, Warner Brothers, to Russell Simmons Media Group. And we're backed by some of the best in the game. Our advisors come from MGM, ESPN, and some of our early backers include Flybridge, Techstars, Zeal Capital, and senior leadership from Netflix. Buffalo already has a rich history of over 530 films shot here. It's not becoming a film city, it is a film city. I know this because I lived here. I know the culture, I know the community, and I know the talent. And with Toronto right next door, world-class universities, and local tax credits and incentives, Buffalo is where independent cinema and global studios intersect. Squire got its start on this same stage, and I helped scale it to a near $1 billion valuation. And I'm here to tell you I'm back to do it again with Greenlit. Just this time, we're gonna make Buffalo the home of modern filmmaking. Alongside 43North, we'll anchor here, partner with local film commissioners here, and build the infrastructure that cements Buffalo as the next global hub of filmmaking. Film is just the beginning. From TV to games to publishing and music, all creative industries run on these broken back office workflows. And Greenlit won't just serve these markets, we'll expand them, unlocking projects that would have never gotten made otherwise. Because storytellers shape entire generations. And with Greenlit, we're giving them the tools to build, investors the confidence to believe, so no more chaos, no more duct tape solutions. It's time for a system truly built for the industry by the people who lived it. It's time to get greenlit. Thank you.
All right.
And now, thank you.
You were Spider-Man.
I wasn't Spider-Man.
I knew that.
And now I'm gonna bring up and welcome my co-founder, Bargov, to the stage.
Okay, who's going to get us started here? Isabella.
Yeah, I can go. Amazing presentation. Thank you so much. To be honest, film is not an area that I spent a lot of time in. And so my first question is just about who needs to be on this platform for this to really reap the benefits and the efficiencies? Because I think one of the first things you said was that there's a lot of disparate, fragmented roles, and that requires a lot of back and forth emails. So looking at other industries that have the same dynamics, a lot of different people in a lot of different spaces, companies needs to be on the platform for it to actually be helpful. So is that the same dynamic that's at play here?
Not necessarily. So a lot of the development process in which we essentially automate and streamline is the development exec. So it's a core small team in the initial onset. The value of Greenlit is that you can add other people from the organization, from legal or accounting or other executives, to help organize and streamline the management of the projects from onset all the way through to recoupment.
Please.
Can you give a little bit more color on where the $60,000 savings comes from? Is that because they're switching from a less efficient software and switching over to Greenlit? Is that just a calculation of time, or is there an outlay of money that you're enabling your customers to recoup or not have to spend?
Yeah, so essentially it's a decrease in cost from overhead in the development stage, from actually consultants, time to create and make the materials needed to go out and raise capital. So because you can upload your script, generate the market materials needed to go raise capital, you're saving time and money from outside resources and overhead.
And additionally, if you look at all of the software stack that a studio or a small team uses, in addition to the consultants they pay, that's where we got that estimate from.
Adam.
Value proposition question. When you're out selling this, how do you talk about, do you sell it to the studios, or are you selling to investors as well, saying you get surety, on the deals that you're investing in? Like you're gonna do more $1 million deals because you can do them and have more confidence, or are you just selling to studios and saying, you know, we're going to put something in place here to give surety to the investors? Like, how are you talking about it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Essentially, a lot of the studios and companies, they like it, one, for their operation side, but then it in turns provides trust and transparency to the investors. So we have some customers that are actually building and raising film funds, and so they're looking to manage that process as well, so that then they can either invest in other projects and their own as well.
Gotcha. So part of the idea is to say, I may have done one project and now I can do 3 or 5 or whatever, because you can see the whole thing from start to finish with this on. Okay.
Yep.
Tim.
Really nice tie back to Buffalo and the ecosystem here in Western and upstate New York. I'd be curious, in an aspirational scenario, kind of two-pronged question, where, assuming success here and maybe raising institutional capital beyond 43North, where would you prioritize within your organization building out talent acquisition, and how exactly would you functionally go about that here locally?
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things of when you look at actually where productions happen and where people who aspire to make content and film are, it's actually all over the place. You may think that, they're concentrated in New York or LA really, but it's really all over the place. So when we think about Buffalo, there's 2 main things that come to mind in terms of talent immediately. One is we have a big backlog of product, really deep technical problems that need to be solved, and we want to hire the best and brightest of engineers and AI talent here in Buffalo. They don't need to go to San Francisco or New York. They can stay right here, and there's great companies like ours that can hire them. And then additionally, like Ian mentioned earlier, the sort of the studios here, the film commissioner's office, there's lots of ways we can engage with the film community here, just like Buffalo Film Festival this past weekend.
Interesting. Carson, you got a question?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to know a little bit more about like your competitors, and also maybe like add a little bit of color to maybe how you guys are kind of standing out, the moat you guys are kind of creating.
Yeah, so I'll talk to the competitors, and then Bhargav can shed light on the kind of moat. But essentially, there's in the collection account space, there's only 2 really old manual processes where it's an accounting firm, they pay out payments quarterly, there's no visibility and insight. So no one has created this Venmo-like experience for investors or stakeholders to really get paid back. And then in the film tech solution space currently, it's mostly horizontal solutions, the Dropbox, the Google Drives, et cetera, and then all the other solutions are really centered on the production management side, and no one's really building or focusing really one end-to-end, but also on the financial and business operations.
Yeah, and the 2 oldest incumbents are focused on enterprise, so they've really missed the SMB market of film. In terms of moat, ultimately, in the circa 2025, moat is still data. So we have incredible data around films that are coming up, all their financials, basically insights that you're not going to find on IMDb or online sources. So that helps us build really proprietary products and even more accurate AI-generated financial reports that otherwise we wouldn't be able to.
Okay, time for one more. Who's got it? Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about how big studios fit in here and why you specifically chose to focus on independent filmmakers rather than going after the big guys?
Yeah, so real quick, the independent kind of mom and pops of the entertainment, they're completely underserved, and they actually have the ability to be leaner and leapfrog some of the incumbents. We are building towards and already in conversations with some of the enterprises, 3 out of the top 5, but we're building out more of the compliance and security that they need to actually come on board.
But we started with independence because that's underserved.
We'll have to end it there. Great job, guys. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for carrying that over for me. I appreciate it. All right. We're cooking now. That was great. Our 11th competitor. Please welcome to the stage Jose Puga from Imaginario.
Hi everyone, I'm Jose Puga and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Imaginario AI. And what we're building is a multi-agent system for business video teams. And we are also an award-winning startup founded by experts in video and AI. In my case, I bring more than 15 years of experience building and scaling video services from the ground up for the likes of Warner Brothers Discovery, Sky, the BBC, and other blue-chip media companies. And my co-founder, Abdelhak Lukal, he's a PhD in deep learning, ex-Softbank Robotics Europe, who has built autonomous vehicles as well as humanoid robots for many years. And we are also have actually won many industry awards, such as the Broadcasting and Media Awards in 2024, as well as Best of Show at the International Broadcasting Convention for 2 years in a row, in 2024 and 2025. And this has also truly been a breakout year for us. 2025 meant growing our revenue from $100K to close to $500,000 in annual recurring revenue. That's 4.7x just in 12 months. And all of this just with $5,000 in monthly net burn. And we also have exceptionally low churn, 2.6% in the last 2 years alone. So we have companies such as Universal Pictures Home Entertainment, Warner Brothers Discovery, Cineverse, and many other companies renewing their contracts year after year. And our user base has also exploded. More than 50,000 users have used our solution in the last 12 months, and we keep growing. Now, the problem that we're solving is one that it's simple to understand, but extremely complex to solve. And is that despite the fact that 82% of all data in the world is video, there's still no accurate way to understand videos down to shot level or scene level across vision, speech, sounds, understanding the passing of time. And once you understand those videos, being able to shape them in a way that can tell personalized, engaging stories at scale. Let's say you have 1 hour of raw footage. You'll roughly spend 1 hour editing that footage. That's transitions, effects, musicalization, and more. However, the main time suck in this whole workflow is reviewing that footage, going through all the archive content, production content, and then being able to select the best moments, the most relevant B-roll and A-roll content, assembling them, curating it, and then also reversioning it for different platforms, audiences, and projects. And truly the world is drowning in video. You just need to look at your inside your mobile devices, right? There are more than 17 billion hours of raw footage recorded every single day. If you look at 1 hour of finished content, roughly business marketing teams will spend 12 hours recording raw footage. In sports and factual productions, that means 75 hours of raw footage per hour of finished content. And the number of shots on average per hour of finished content is close to 1,000. So it's not just about the number of hours, but also the variety of shots. This impacts more than 54 million businesses worldwide, which accounts to an opportunity of $42 billion worldwide and just $10 billion, and also $10 billion in the US alone. That's why we've built Imaginario AI. It's a multi-agent system that turns company footage into millions of personalized stories at scale. And we do this by matching 2 core technologies, understanding videos across vision, speech, sounds, and the passing of time, and then matching them with agents that orchestrate workflows from inception, from ingestion, all the way to output into content destinations. And we do this with the power of agents as well as understanding content deeply. And the output are branded promos, social media, company videos, and much more. And our goal is to truly expand horizontally across entire workflows, starting with content marketing, but even going beyond content marketing. We have started with curation, which is truly video understanding and contextual understanding in depth. And now we have moved to video editing and rough cutting. But then what we want to do is eat the entire workflow. This is researching, copywriting, storyboarding, motion graphics, and analyzing content in depth, also for video Q&A and analytics. All of this with a robust and scalable infrastructure. And we want to build a data mode to tackle specific use cases. For instance, first focusing on business marketing teams, that's a $42 billion opportunity, moving into life and sports, and finally tackling other verticals such as houses of worship, education, surveillance, and more. Now, why 43 North and why Buffalo? Because we are, 90% of our clients are in the US, and we want to use Buffalo to really expand our footprint in the US, starting with the East Coast. And from there, we then want to expand to other parts of the US. We are also committing to invest 50% of funding into Buffalo, hiring across sales and marketing, and more specifically, product growth, marketing, and enterprise sales. And from there, we also want to collaborate with the University of Buffalo in AI research, in producing papers and other research together. So that's, I'm Jose, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Imaginario, and I would like to welcome to the stage my co-founder, Abdelhak Lukal, for the Q&A.
All right, good job. You may want to use that for your presentation. What's your co-founder?
Hi, everyone.
All right, who's going to kick us off? Adam.
I'll kick off. Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Two things. I'm a bit of a Luddite. These gray hairs are real. So I imagine, this being at some point, and you probably have to imagine too, like Sora is coming for all of us, right? It's going to create video that doesn't exist now and just kind of in the fake world that lives out there. But talk to me on the highest and best use of this. Like I also love sports too, so I can see this for highlights, but what do you guys see as sort of its ultimate expression? Like when Imaginario hits its full strength, what is it doing better than anybody else in the whole world?
Yeah, so we'll start with a technical differentiation and probably addressing the worries around Sora, right? I'm going to pass that question to Abdelhak.
Yeah, so our differentiation comes from both the approach we have chosen to video automation, but also the data that results from that approach. Instead of going full automation like many other companies, which often produces rigid and low quality results, we have decided to break down first the problem into different sub-problems that we are already solving for our users. Jose was mentioning video understanding across speech, sound, and visuals, but we've also built a vector-based search engine that's able to search a large library of videos down to 1 frame per second. And on top of that, we have built a complete set of AI-powered tools for topic modeling, summarization, chapterization, editing, tracking, facial analysis. So it's a complete AI-powered toolbox that now we are pairing up with the agents that will leverage those tools, orchestrate them to then automate the entire workflow, which the specific thing about it is that the user is not left out as any other automatic tool. Now the user is able to intervene at any step of the agent, fine-tune the results, hence leaving the creative control in the hands of the user, but also allowing us to capture high quality and unique data when it comes to personalization. So I would say our remote is both the high quality and unique data, the approach we have taken towards automation, and also, as Jose was mentioning, the entire infrastructure and the breadth of our tech stack that we have built so far.
So I avoid the black box. I can direct, you're saying. Here's 1 million hours of video. I can direct the agents to look for this, look for this, look for that, look for that. Is that part of what you're saying?
Yeah, correct. That's not possible with a single model. You need to have like a breadth of different AI tools that are able to break down the problems in different sub-problems. And then on top of that, you have the conductor that's going to orchestrate the different instruments to then generate the videos.
With Sora 2, well, we can say it's really the main use case is a meme generator right now. I was listening to an interview with Sam Altman, and he's also saying that the unit economics are really don't make any sense for Sora 2. So they're even reviewing the business model to make it a rev share with creators. In our case, we're focusing on authentic recorded content, which is really the vast number of the 82% of data that I was mentioning initially. So
interesting.
Yeah,
Isabella.
What's been the feedback from customers to date? What are the guiding KPIs that they're measuring you guys on?
Yeah, so one of them is time saved. That's the most concrete one. And the finance department is pretty happy, right? Because this means that they are, it's not our core persona, I'm joking, but it's like there's time savings of between 50 and 75%. So Universal Pictures, reported 75% time savings in finding and clipping moments. WBD around 70-75% as well. And yeah, so those are some of the feedback. And ultimately, I think for our models, it's really about, rather than using open source benchmarks or based on open source data sets or control data sets, it's really about the customer satisfaction, right? And we haven't been asked to fine tune the models even. So if we could even fine tune the models further for those catalogs, that would be even better, right? But yeah.
Tim.
I'd be curious, just having been through Techstars, what some of the largest lessons learned, broadly speaking, and I guess how that apply to your behavior should you enter the next cohort with 43 North.
Yeah, well, I guess, well, with Techstars, they said, whatever you put in, you're going to get back out, right? So it's a matter of time investment. It's investing in relationships, and we would be greatly proud to be part of the 43North family, because we see that the approach here in Buffalo is really one of community, of connecting with investors, with potential corporate clients. It's about the recruitment, getting the most out of Buffalo, and then, of course, using this as a launchpad, as I said before, to build a great company. And I'm based in London, Abdelhak is based in Paris, but we have a US company with 90% of clients based in the US, so it just makes sense to have boots on the ground, right? So, yeah.
Who's next? Please, I'm sorry. Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about your go-to-market? Specifically, I'm interested to understand who's your buyer. Is it the creative themselves? Is it that finance department who's looking to just lower costs?
Yeah.
Is it a support, like communications department that needs to take something and turn it into something else that they can use? Who within the Universal or some of your big customers is ultimately like your buyer?
Yes, so talking about the buyer persona and the user persona. So the user persona, we're not really targeting creators. We don't care, it's going to be controversial, but we don't really care about the creator market or the consumer market, but also not just about having a custom solution for large enterprises, right? We're really targeting the SMB sector or small marketing teams within corporates, right, that have discretionary budgets. So that's really the core market, and if I go back here for a second, that's our positioning. If you see the y-axis, like you have large enterprises and then creators, freelancers, we've seen that there's an underserved market in the middle, which is the backbone of the economy. We're talking about 54 million businesses worldwide use video for marketing. However, they're being served by Wistia, they're being served by Iconic, which are media asset management systems, not really video understanding systems, right? So that's really the core focus. Now, when it comes to go-to-market, our go-to-market in enterprise, what has really worked for us, it's in the industry trade events. It's also PR, awards. It's also being part of associations. So we're part of the digital production practice of the IABM and others where we meet people, network with people. My background is in B2B sales, so I know how to do that. And then it's content marketing, SEO optimization. SEO is super important for this. Around 80% of our inbound leads are organic, which is great. That has managed, we managed to have a very low CAC. And then integrators and resellers becoming more and more important as well to put our product in front of other customers. So we're in talks with JB&A, which is one of the main distributors of software in the US. And yeah, we're going to keep doing more of that. So, yeah.
London and Paris, you guys are ready to move to Buffalo?
Of course. Absolutely.
We'll have to end it there. Great. Thank you. Great job.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, man. Good luck. All right. Let's give our judges a round of applause. I think I have a judge change now, right? So thank you guys. You were really great. And we'll bring up our last set of judges. We know the routine. Let's be sure to give our judges a round of applause. I think we have David Brown is going to rejoin us. So David, let's give him another round of applause from Appellant. Thank you so much. From Pacamama Ventures, did I say that right? Say it again?
Tamama.
That was close. Karen Sheffield, welcome to Buffalo. From Cortado Ventures, Susan Maureen. Did I get that right? I got that right? All right, beautiful. From South Loop Ventures, please welcome Zachary Ellis. Welcome. And last but not least, from Halcyon Venture Partners, Kate Goodall. I did that right too, right? Okay, who's up next here? Okay, help me welcome, we got 4 left to go. So our 12th competitor, David DeLaw from Flow. David. There he is, looking all calm and scholarly. There you go. Good luck. See you. 5, 7 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Hello, Buffalo. I noticed on the way here it's getting a bit cold outside. By a show of hands, who here is ready for winter? Oh, quite a few. I don't need to explain to this audience what winter storms bring. Ice and snow can be terribly costly and dangerous if you're not prepared. I'm David. I'm the CEO of Flow, the smart solution to ice and snow management. We're first tackling one of the biggest hidden challenges in winter, rooftop ice and snow buildup. You might not have realized, but in the US alone, it causes over $10 billion in damages every year and creates major liability for both building owners and building operators. Existing solutions fail to solve the problem. They're all terribly costly, energy demanding, unsafe, and often labor intensive, which poses significant liability risk. That's where Flow comes in. We've developed a smart, cost-effective, and environmentally friendly solution for ice and snow management that's far more effective than existing solutions. Flow is the first novel industry solution in over 50 years. It leverages IoT sensors, proprietary algorithms, and real-time data from the National Weather Service to determine exactly when to activate. It accurately predicts and detects buildup, and when necessary, the system deploys a liquid de-icer onto the roof to address the ice and snow. This de-icing fluid is clear, non-corrosive, biodegradable, and pet and plant safe. Flow is also designed for install and forget for any building type. The product can be installed in several hours and requires minimal maintenance. Compared to existing solutions, Flow is far safer, cuts operating costs by more than 40%, and uses less than 1% of the energy. As an InsurTech solution, even if it just prevents one incident, it's already paid for itself. We launched in late 2023 and quickly signed some of the leading real estate players in the US and Canada, including national retailers, state governments, and major property groups. Our pipeline has been growing rapidly. We're on track to reach $1 million in revenue this year, and we project we can maintain our 5x annual growth rate for the foreseeable future. We have 2 revenue streams today, system sales and an in-cartridge model for our de-icing fluid. We were also soon monetizing our FlowView software dashboard and service contracts with our installer partners across North America. We maintain very healthy margins, and once installed, we can monetize multiple recurring revenue streams over the product's lifespan, while developing opportunities to expand across entire building portfolios. We've begun in commercial real estate, but our market is far larger. We're aiming to expand to residential next and are in discussions with industry leaders, insurance carriers, and the US military. To protect this growth, we already have 3 granted patents and are prosecuting additional applications globally. We've also developed proprietary algorithms and built the world's largest rooftop ice and snow data set. Combined with our brand and the trust we've earned with leading real estate players, our advantage will only compound as we scale. Our vision extends well beyond rooftops. We envision expanding and radically transforming and decarbonizing the global de-icing industry for the 21st century. As we scale, we can also leverage our IoT sensor data year-round to provide personalized insights on improving building envelope performance. From living in New England for over a decade, I knew there had to be a better way to handle ice and snow. Our executive team met at MIT, and we came together to tackle this massive issue. I previously worked in business development in VC, and Hector is one of the best engineers I know. We already have presence all over New York State, but Western New York feels like the perfect fit to grow Flow and call this home. To date, we've stayed laser focused on customers, and it's paid off. We're a hard tech startup with granted patents, and that is already cash flow positive without ever having raised an investor dollar. We don't need outside capital, but 43North and Buffalo are truly unique for us. So much so that we're excited to open up our cap table for the first time and raise here because we want Buffalo and this community as long-term partners, if you'll have us. It feels like the perfect fit. This is where I get down on one knee. Buffalo's strong industrial base would help us source components locally and fortify our supply chain. We already have major customers here who can provide direct feedback and help us rapidly iterate over the long winters. And Buffalo's location gives us cross-border reach and access along the Great Lakes to tackle lake effect snows. Buffalo knows snow better than anywhere else, which makes it the perfect home for Flow. We want to plant deep roots here, contribute to the community, and build on the incredible manufacturing know-how of the city. As we expand, we'll need to build a plant soon. We'd like that site to be here, drawing on Buffalo's strong local talent to power that growth. From here, we'll scale Flow to the world. Buffalo, join us on our journey to transform this industry together. So the next time someone asks, what's the best ice and snow system? The answer is simple. Call that company from Buffalo. Tough as Josh Allen. And if we win, we'll begin planting roots here immediately. Starting on Friday, we'll start looking to hire an engineer and a sales lead locally to help keep up with demand. If you're interested, please reach out. Thank you. We're Flow, the smart solution to ice and snow management.
Great job. All right. Okay. Good job. You hang on to that. Who's going to kick us off here? All right, let's go. Kate.
I have a two-part question about your de-ice. It's potassium acetate, correct?
That's right.
First part of the question, I'm curious about your supply chain because I know it's in high demand, so I want to know how you're thinking about that long term. Second part is, obviously it's considered relatively safe, but it's only ever been in small environments like airports.
Mm-hmm.
What is it going to do when used in such scale on every rooftop to important watersheds and ecological areas?
Yeah, so we have chemical engineers we work with that we've analyzed like long-term effects, but ultimately we're actually using a lot less, which is a result of the fact we have these sensors and real-time weather data. So just for context, for instance, for like a single road of like a highway, for instance, a single lane on a highway demands around like almost a tote of fluid, 265 gallons per lane per highway per storm. We're using that amount, like or half that amount, over the entire winter. So we're actually using a really precise amount of it. So we're not just spraying this wildly. The idea is we're using this in precise amounts to both be cost effective and also be environmentally sound. And then ultimately, this is actually going to go on the roof and it's going to start to essentially dilute with the snowmelt immediately. And by the time it actually reaches the ground and it actually reaches runoff, it's completely diluted to a point where it can start to biodegrade. And it completely biodegrades even at 0 degrees Celsius within 20 days.
And supply chain?
Supply chain, so we're actually working with one of the largest industry players in the space right now. We've actually reserved part of their facility for Flow. And we're actually working with them to scale this up. And we actually have proprietary corrosion inhibitors that we have in those de-icer that they're also helping supply. And we have the capacity to do millions of gallons of volume.
Who's next? David?
Can you talk a little bit about your mix between consumer and residential and what an install cost would be on both scenarios?
Yeah, so right now we're basically only primarily doing commercial and a bit of high-end residential. We haven't entered the residential space yet. We're really staying like really fine-tuned to the commercial space. We're actually working with a large residential channel player to get into that space, but we don't want to handle that directly. We really want to be like core focus on the commercial customers. On the residential side, I can't really speak to exactly pricing at the moment, but it's going to be very competitive other offerings on the market.
Please, Karen.
Yeah, can you speak a little bit more about the next beachhead into insurance? Is it that you would sell the data? Would you partner with insurance companies to get that and ensure that those insurance premiums come down? What does that sound like?
Yeah, so it's really like a multi-step process. We're actually working with some of the largest players and carriers in the country already. The first step is really just having them actually recommend us to their clients. Right now, they have no solution to recommend to their clients, so when their clients have an issue, they have to pay the claim and that's it. So we're actually just starting with introductions where like this is essentially a lead generation tool for us. But ultimately the idea is we can get into a place where this is required and we can get discounts for our clients, get rebates, and ultimately even have this as a requirement in order to provide protection.
Yeah, I want to dive in a little bit more to your ICP.
Sure.
Who is the perfect customer, and then within that entity, who do you actually sell to? Who's making purchase decisions about this kind of thing?
Yeah, so our like preferred customer is like a large retailer or like large commercial player that has national reach. So they manage thousands of buildings ultimately, and so this would be the director of facilities for a big box store, national mall, things of that sort ultimately.
And they would make the decision for every store that they think is at risk of these.
Exactly. And so we work with a few of the big box stores already, and so there's centralized facilities. They're making decisions across their entire portfolio.
Did those entities all own their properties?
For the most part, they either own their properties or they have triple net leases, which in effect means that they actually have to manage the facility as well. So if there's a roof collapse, like that's really on them, and so they need to mitigate that risk proactively.
Jack?
What's the penetration of these sorts of systems in the residential area that gives you confidence that you can sell into that market? I don't have a lot of experience with snow systems, but I do have a lot of experience with roofing systems, and people I've talked to in Wisconsin have, like, don't use these, so I'm just kind of curious.
It's interesting, I'm actually going to Wisconsin next week for actually some residential meetings there. We actually have a lot of penetration in Wisconsin. But I mean, ultimately, like a lot of folks like go from everything from like the key tape you can buy in Home Depot to like the larger systems you can get that's custom design ultimately. And then a lot of folks are just getting on the roofs in the middle of the winter to chisel off the ice themselves. They're using roof rakes. Ultimately, that's actually causing more damage or actually going to injure yourself in the process. The idea is that you should put this on the roof. It's an automated solution that you never have to touch the roof again. So we're really trying to disrupt both the current solutions, but the fact that a lot of folks are just taking the damage as it comes. And then only once it comes in, they realize they have a leak in their roof or they have damage that needs to then be replaced. We were trying to ultimately provide a proactive solution that you never have to worry about that issue again. But we have a lot of internal data that says that there actually is a pretty big market demand for this, and we're just trying to tap into that market ultimately.
Please, Dave? Karen?
Do you view this long-term as a direct play, or do you view it as kind of a franchise? Like, how are you guys thinking about the long-term distribution?
So on the commercial side, I think it's still a direct play. Like we're selling direct to these large big box stores. We want to maintain those relationships because ultimately the idea is we can get into thousands of buildings through one direct buyer. On the residential side, I think that becomes more regionalized, and we're working actually with regional installers across the U.S. and Canada already. So they know their local markets, they know their customers. We don't want to go from home to home ourselves, and that starts to be franchise, or we have regional players that will manage that for us.
Got time for one more. Who wants it?
I'll go. How do you respond to the seasonality of the business? It's mostly winter in every place in North America.
It's a great question. You'd be surprised that some folks are very proactive and they'll install in the middle of the summer. Some folks will install in the middle of Q1, which is not ideal. So it's a lot less seasonal than you might expect. And then ultimately the idea is we're trying to move into more of a data play ultimately, where we're actually working on a few different product developments right now where we're actually going to start addressing other issues in the future, using the same system, but addressing other seasonal issues that are outside of winter, which I can't speak about at the moment. But the idea is also we can start to use our sensors and other data, whether through insurance or through direct to the consumer or direct to the commercial property, to manage those building envelopes.
I got 20 seconds. Any last quick question?
Clever email.
Thank you.
Clever email. Okay, we'll end it there. Very good. Thank you. Very appropriate. Good job. Thank you. All right. We're down to our last three, and the names are getting harder. Okay. Well, that was interesting. All right. Next up is Ash Yosefi from Felix Fusion. Did I say that right? I said that right, right? I got it right.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Felix Fusion. 70% of eligible US manufacturers never bid on a government contract, and they are missing on $1 trillion market. But why is that? Commercial manufacturers do not speak government. That's the main reason. If we look at what is available today in the market, majority of the tools you see, especially on the left side, they are just surfacing the problem for manufacturers, surfacing the opportunities for manufacturers, and they are not moving the needle, which is actually the revenue. Manufacturers is looking for outcome, not a tool. Felix Fusion is a full solution that is designed for the government contracts, and also it is designed for the industrial solutions. The way it works, manufacturer only need to provide the catalog, price list, and also authorization to sell to the government. We do the rest. After the proposal is awarded, we inform the manufacturer to fulfill the contract, and we get percentage of the contract. The rest goes for manufacturer. We don't just talk about it. We have done it. $16 million of contracts are completed for 55 manufacturers. 21 US manufacturers successfully exported to Canada. And we generated $3 million in revenue in 12 months for our team. These are some of the items we exported mainly to Canada. Airport support equipments, simulation system for satellites, power conversion systems. These are type of manufacturers that we can find many of them in the upstate New York as well. About this market, the government is actually the largest buyer in the world. These four markets combined purchasing over $1 trillion of contracts less than $40 million. These are type of contracts that SME can fulfill. And we are focusing on the industrial solution, which is a roughly $60 billion market. Our go-to-market strategy is targeted. We do analytics on the tenders, and we target the manufacturers that can fulfill these kind of tenders. We reach to those manufacturers actively to onboard them. And one more good news, the recent trade agreements between US and other countries is actually helping us because it creates barrier for other countries to sell in the US, and it promotes export for the US manufacturers. Means that US manufacturer can sell more inside the US and also can export. We are a perfect team to solve this problem. My co-founder, 14 years of experience in government contracting in North America, and I built digital products for over 10 years in Silicon Valley. Our plan for Buffalo, why we are here. First of all, Canada is our major export market, is right here. Buffalo is a major manufacturing hub. And also, according to EPI, Economic Policy Institute, each 1 million in manufacturing output is supporting 16.5 jobs. So just with replicating what we have done so far, we can support 170 jobs in this area for the first year, and this would increase to 800 jobs in next 2 years. Thank you very much. Join us to unlock $1 trillion market for manufacturers.
All right. I like those kicks. They're pretty nice. What size are you? All right. David.
Talk to us just a little bit about your initial sales. Obviously, if most people aren't actively looking at or thinking about government contracts, how do you convince them or educate them about the opportunity in the market?
Basically, the way we designed, we are replicating how manufacturer works with the distributor. So we don't have much heavy lifting on convincing to use our solution. And the manufacturer already have the process internally to connect with the distributor. We would be a kind of digital distributor. They connect to Felix Fusion for selling to the government. And we don't charge subscription, so there is no risk also for manufacturer to get involved.
Suzanne?
Yeah, will you talk more about your strategy to get manufacturers on the platform? Are these mostly manufacturers that are already doing government contracting, and so this is just an easier way for them to find? Like, who are they and how are you getting to them?
We use one-to-many strategy. What it means that we are aggregating the solicitations actively. When we see one manufacturer has multi-solicitation that can fulfill, we reach to those manufacturers. These are the commercial manufacturers with a robust product in the market. We validate they already have the references, they have a robust product in the market, and we actively reach them to onboard. This
so
is
you're
how we
onboarding
engage.
them when there is already an opportunity
Yes.
they can sign up for.
Kate, did you have a question?
Yeah, sort of building on that. So really your customer, your ideal customer is a manufacturer who does not have existing contracts with the government. This is maybe their first time doing that. Is that correct?
Many cases, yes.
Okay, so you're taking a publicly available sort of RFP information and using agentic AI to match it with a manufacturer. And then, you know, I guess the second part of that would be because government is such a relational, you know, and transactional business, a lot of incumbent people win those contracts. Do you actually do anything to increase the likelihood that they will win the contract? Is that part of this process?
There are 2 points to consider. First, in some cases, the manufacturer already selling in the US, but never exported to Canada. So we are opening up a new channel for them with exporting. And many US manufacturers, they're just looking inside the US. They are not looking outside mainly. This is one. Second, the contracts we are dealing with, average contract value, $245K. So not much lobbying is needed basically to win those type of contracts. When it goes like to contracts $40 million and above, your point is completely valid. Like lobbying is needed with the government buyers, introduction, lots of meetings and so on are the case in larger contracts.
Zach, Karen?
In some cases, like working with the government requires that there be certain certifications or other things put in place before you can execute on those contracts. Does your system help identify those hurdles and surpass them?
Exactly. So compliance is a big part of what we do. And 40% of the contracts we fulfilled is to the defense, which is one of the hardest basically sales due to the compliance, as you mentioned.
The bundle strategy is interesting to help companies that are maybe normally too small or don't have all the capabilities. But also seems really risky. Like if one of those vendors in a bundled proposal doesn't do their job right, does everybody else get blacklisted? I mean, how are companies responding to that? How big a part of your strategy is it?
Very good point. So actually, we do two things. When we onboard, we do due diligence on those manufacturers, make sure they have a robust commercial product in the market. That's the first thing. Second, the way we get the percentage, it is dynamic. It is changing from 8% all the way to the higher numbers, even like 45%. We are pricing the risk when we are bundling. So we're adding margin, we're considering some margin for that.
Interesting. Karen?
What's your customer growth month over month for the last, I don't know, 6 months?
So we are growing with a rate around like 35 to 40% for the next year. This is our forecast. We are not growing like a hockey stick type of things, but our average contract size is noticeable.
Did you get that? Okay. Please, Kate.
Just curious about sort of like the aha moment that you had to realize that this company should exist.
So before this product, we started to just surface the opportunity and present it to the manufacturer. It didn't work. The reason is that we need to completely de-risk it from the manufacturer side to get involved. And that was the aha moment, basically. When we removed all the frictions and just replicated ourselves kind of a commercial buyer from the manufacturer, that worked.
Time for one more. Who wants it? David?
So obviously AI for RFP has grown significantly over the last few years. How do you think about defensibility of your product over the long term?
Actually, what we do, it is not just identifying those RFPs. The core part of our product is that the complex process of selling to the government is built in our product. And it cannot be replicated easily. It needs knowledge about compliance, it needs bidding strategy algorithms, how to price the bid, and so on. Whereas if you look at the competitors, many of them are supported by YC. They are just surfacing the opportunity. They find the RFPs in the space, they present it to the manufacturer or their customer, whoever it is.
Got 30 seconds if anyone's got a last question. Okay, I think we'll end it there. Great job.
Thank you so much.
I'll take it. Hockey. You said hockey stick and puck. It's hockey stick. Just you. All right. Good. All right. This next. Okay. Holy mackerel. How are we doing? How am I doing? Not bad. Put you 2 minutes. Oh, listen to Colleen. By the way, Colleen, I'm ahead of schedule. Okay. I got a little time to work here. So, no, I'm only kidding. All right. We got 2 more to go. Oh my God. All right. She said I can just call her by her first name, but I am going to attempt this last name. That consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 letters. Here we go. Ari Parusramapura, from CellSense. I broke it up, but I said it.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay.
Beads are everywhere. They're in our garments, they're in our jewelry, they're in our kids' toys, and they're even hidden in products like facial scrubs. These beads that we currently use are made with plastics and they're dyed with lead, a known neurotoxin that we wear right against our skin. When this product is discarded, usually after only 5 uses, it will live in landfills for 200 years, becoming microplastics that get into our food, our water, and even our bodies. With plastic beads, we are literally wearing a public health crisis. CellSense has invented a solution inspired by biology. My name is Ari, and I'm the founder and CEO. I spent a decade in New York's fashion industry designing embellishments like beads and sequins for brands like Tory Burch. I saw that companies ranging from luxury fashion houses to Zara wanted to switch from plastic beads, but they couldn't. In the $1.8 trillion fashion industry, where 1 in 5 garments are embellished, there was simply no drop-in solution that was sustainable. We, a team of designers, engineers, material scientists, and industry experts, came together to develop a biopolymer from 2 abundant natural raw materials, algae and cellulose. The result is a product line of transparent, durable, yet biodegradable embellishments. Instead of hazardous lead dyes used in plastic beads, we engineer harmless natural microbial pigments to achieve a vivid color palette and unique properties like fluorescence. Our dyeing process uses about 400 times less water than synthetic dyes. In addition to this, our manufacturing system is significantly more efficient. We use robotic syringes to directly deposit beads on fabric. This is essential to our value proposition. We're not just a supplier of sustainable beads, but of complex beaded fabrics. For these, the industry relies on manual labor from overseas. But because of the ability of our production process to automate manufacturing, we're able to onshore production at 70% lower costs. And that's exactly what brands are excited about. We're not just a manufacturer of sustainable beads, but we are a leaner, simpler, smarter supply chain. But we do have competitors who are sustainable. However, they are limited to flat and opaque materials, while we have created transparent materials in customizable 3D geometries. And we're unique in that our beaded fabric can beat plastics on both costs as well as lead time. And we believe that sustainability shouldn't just be a luxury. We've proven this in practice with 4 paid B2B pilots across industries. First in fashion with Ian Allen Greer, then in jewelry with NPOM and Roma Narsingani, and latest in skincare with Heckles. Not only have we received a 100% reorder rate, but in certain pilots, like with Heckles, they conducted third-party tests to ensure our material's durability and performance in harsh conditions for months, while they found that a competitor's material would fall apart in under 72 hours in similar conditions. We've proven product market fit through 4 pilots, and we've received inbound interest from 48 brands, but we are currently supply constrained. We're looking to scale manufacturing with the $1 million, with which we hope to establish a pilot plant here in Buffalo. With this plant, we can estimate a conservative revenue of $3.9 million in our first year. That would be with increased production, and with continuing to increase production and license our technology, we see a clear path to achieving $120 million by 2030. And we've received backing from renowned organizations in the industry already. We've been believing that this is the right time for us to scale with new regulations banning microbeads and lead, unmet demand, and first mover advantage. We believe Buffalo is the place for us to be because it combines science and technology with manufacturing legacy. We've been amazed by the level of support and excitement for advanced manufacturing here. This includes Buffalo Manufacturing Works, which can help us automate our manufacturing technology as we scale, as well as University of Buffalo. We've spoken to their renowned material science and innovation department who are excited to partner with us. What I love the most is that we've already had several students from UB reach out to us for jobs and internships. We plan to create 8 jobs within our first year here, scaling to 40 as we continue to grow. With this interest and ecosystem, we believe Buffalo is the place for us to be, and we hope to build a pilot plant and scale manufacturing to replace plastics across cosmetics, skincare, home, and jewelry, and let our dreams come true. Better beats from Buffalo. Thank you.
All right. Well done. Very good. Okay, who has the first question? Karen.
Yeah, so congratulations on all the demand from 40 plus brands. That's impressive, and larger ones too. So with all these market pool, obviously your first target is to build this production facility scale. What does that allow you to do in terms of the unit economics versus anything out there that is existent in the market?
Right. So yeah, we've been very fortunate to get interest from 48 brands, and that's been with zero marketing. So far, through conversations, we anticipate an average order size of $170,000 across 24 customers, and that is basically 50% of the demand we've received. So we've been quite conservative, and we've been having in-depth conversations with these customers. They have told us they want about 6 million units of beads and 10,000 yards of fabric. That is the initial demand, and then we'll continue to scale as we go. But that would be the goal or the milestone with our pilot plant, is to reach those units.
Good answer. Okay, please, go ahead.
So in some ways, I'm your ideal customer because I love fashion and I'm always looking for more environmentally friendly solutions. I also read labels really carefully and take things to the dry cleaner. I think if I read correctly, your product hardens at room temperature, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone doesn't read labels very carefully, is it a mess in the laundry?
So our material hardens while we're depositing it, and so we just use cross-linkers, no heat. So we have like a certain amount of cross-linker that reaches a certain amount of hardness, after which it stops. So if you like your usual wear and tear, it's not going to harden or fall apart in the dry cleaner or anything of that nature.
I'm just curious about sort of any tests that you've done on sort of like back-end wear for everyday use and how you would find your customers and instruct them accordingly.
Absolutely. So this has been great with a lot of our pilot partners have helped us out with this as they're more established, like Heckles, which is a well-known skincare brand in the UK. They conducted extensive third-party testing. They subjected the material to much harsher conditions than any customer ever would. That includes exposure to acids, to extremely high temperature, to salt water for months and months and months, and found that we were the only sustainable option that met their performance requirements. That's why they conducted the whole pilot with us, went through the entire process in Europe, which has much stricter laws around sustainability than even the US does. And then we've also applied for certifications to ensure compostability and biodegradability.
Interesting. Zach? Suzanne, why don't you go then? Come on.
It seems like in this industry, cost is really important. And I'd love to hear more about how your costs are coming in so much lower than incumbents that are producing it, the cheapest plastics at the biggest scale. So what are the drivers in your production costs? And then I guess how does it change at scale versus what incumbents are doing?
Absolutely. So we've been unique in the way that we don't just do the material, but we also do the production process. And we knew that was essential to making our material competitive with plastics. So typically a brand would export it to an embroidery studio where over 10 embroiderers would work on 1 yard of beaded fabric together for 3 days. versus with our production technology, what's unique is that plastic would need about 1,000 degrees Celsius to solidify. We only use cross-linkers at room temperature. So our material, once it's deposited around fabric, solidifies without the need for manual labor. We still need a technician to look at the machine while this process is happening, but no labor, and it happens in less than an hour. So what would take traditional manufacturing 3 days, what we can do in an hour, just because of these properties of our material, and that cost savings is about 70%.
So your material is solidifying on the fabric, so it doesn't have to be sewn on?
Exactly. So I have some samples I can pass around as well, so you can see how well it's attached to the fabric.
Yeah. So are these, is this batch processing?
Is this?
Or is it continuous?
Batch processing.
Yeah.
And so how have you thought about supply? Well, one, how much demand can you service with this next size machine or set of machines? And then two, how does it scale in terms of managing supply chain and processing?
Absolutely. So to answer the first part of the question about the demand we've received versus the output, we've received more demand. We've received 50,000 yards of fabric demand already, but we think that a reasonable milestone for us to aim at is 10,000 yards with an architecture to prove that the remaining demand can be met. And so we want to start slowly and achieve the scale, get 3.9 million in revenue, and then it would be a matter of getting more units of the same machinery, essentially, which we can do in the preceding years. The second part of the question was, sorry.
Supply chain?
Supply chain, like
right.
algae, the cellulose, so on.
Definitely. So there are companies like Greenwave in Northeast US that have seen a lot of biomaterial companies starting to use algae, and they've grown to capitalize on it. They supply it to us in a very efficient way. They have stats related to the environmental benefits of the algae they grow, and they ship it to us in a powder form. So we already have established those supply chain partners, and we know they can supply to us at scale because they have to other biomaterial companies.
David?
Just thinking through kind of the long-term capitalization of the company. Obviously, you guys have taken about $380,000 in the past, a very diverse group of investors that are there, so it seems like a lot of small checks. Talk to me a little bit about kind of the strategy of how you've taken capital in the past and how you view kind of the forward going as a mix of equity versus debt as you scale the business.
Yeah, so far it's thankfully all been non-diluted funding. So 100% of the company is still owned by the team. We've also gotten revenue from our pilots. And as we go forward, we're really looking for the right strategic investors who can help us with scaling and manufacturing, similar to the services that 43North can provide, where they connect us to a whole ecosystem of manufacturers and help us get to our next milestone. We've also had customers who've wanted to invest in us or give us NREs so that we can get to the higher production capacity. And so far, it's just bootstrapping, pilot income, and grants that have helped us get here.
Okay, we'll have to end it there. Great job. Wonderful. Judges. All right, I'll take this. Great job. Wonderful. All right, one to go. How am I doing, Kyle? Okay. All right. Keep it down out there. Okay, last but not least, our 15th competitor. From the company Tuki AI, please welcome Romero Robles to the stage. Look at this guy. You look like a conductor.
You look like a pianist.
I'm a pianist. All right. We staged that. All right, here we go.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Hi, judges. Thanks for being with us the entire day. I'm Ramiro, co-founder and CEO of Tuki. And I started my career conducting orchestras, as Bill said, many years ago back in Argentina. And after some time, I eventually switched gears, went into business, eventually joined McKinsey. And from McKinsey Buenos Aires, I came to Miami. And after a very long and painful and stressful process, I eventually got my green card. And after seeing how inefficient and how painful this process was, we decided to do something about it and just change the way immigration works in this country. Since then, we have changed many lives, as you can see in the slide, and we have achieved many great things. We are already at $1 million annual revenue. We have been growing 3x year over year with great unit economics and client satisfaction. But there's so much more to do. This is an $8 billion market, just the US immigration market, which is completely fragmented. The typical 12,000 law firms that you see in this space are 1 to 2 attorneys doing everything manual, offering a commoditized service. It's really hard to scale, which that results in a really low satisfaction and poor experience. And that's the real problem. The immigration process is completely broken. It's slow, there's plenty of mistakes, it's not really transparent, and these mistakes can be very expensive. A mistake here can mean that you need to leave the country with your family on a day's notice. And also, bear in mind, this is a very complex process. Our typical O1 visa, for example, has around 800 pages, so it's very common and very frequent to make some of these mistakes. Now, what are we doing to change this? We are taking all this chaotic process with all these scattered tools into an all-in-one platform where everything is completely transparent and organized. Then we are taking everything that is done manually into an AI-native process with humans in the loop just to check for consistency and quality. And as we are automating so many of these tasks, our team can provide that human experience, which is so important to immigrants and they typically don't get from a traditional firm. Now, when we started 2 years ago, we were absolutely focused on just the product, improving the way this works, and completely changing the dynamics. So that's why most of our clients came from word of mouth. And as we scaled and as we improved and we became more scalable, we started focusing on new channels such as outbound, automation, social, and this year we have already seen a lot of clients coming from these new channels. And then next year, actually the focus is going to be B2B, right? Selling to companies, which not only give you recurring revenue, but also, bear in mind, some companies in these countries are issuing thousands of visas every single year, which is, much better for scaling. And that's where we would use most of the funds from 43North. Now, in our team, this is just some of our key team members. We not just have business professionals, technology professionals, marketing, but we also have in-house attorneys, so we can provide that end-to-end experience with high quality to all of our clients. Why Buffalo? Many reasons, but some of them are wonderful 43North organization, especially as we go into B2B to tap into that network and get those connections and intros. But also Buffalo is very strategically positioned just next to Canada and close to large immigration hubs such as New York and Washington, D.C. On top of that, Buffalo is a city already shaped by success. Shea's Theater, where we'll hopefully be tomorrow pitching, was built by an immigrant, Michael Shea, in 1926. And some great companies from Buffalo, such as Delaware North, were also built by immigrants, creating thousands of jobs. And we want to double down on that mission of bringing more founders to Buffalo. So we are committing to, for the next 3 years, to provide 80% discount to any visa service to all founders that want to come to Buffalo and build their companies here. If you want to find any of the details, you can just scan that QR code on our website. Thank you.
I'm slowing down, man. Sorry. All right. Who wants to go first? Okay, Kate, go ahead.
Okay, so you're McKinsey, so you're basically a Swiss Army knife. But what I want to know is what's the transferable skill set from being a conductor to running a startup?
A lot of things, actually. There's when you're conducting an orchestra, the personalities of each player are very different. Like violinists are not the same as flautists, as bassoon players, like Bill knows, right?
Yeah, I do. Piano players are the best. At least temperamental.
And companies are the same, right? Marketing people, lawyers, especially, very different. Operations, different clients. So I think that would be the biggest learning or transferable thing I've seen. Just that nuance on how you approach different type of clients, different type of team members, and how do you help them do their work. And when you're conducting, you're not making sounds, right? The sounds is coming from the other one. So it's just like, and you are conducting people that are better than you, right? In what they do. Like everyone played their instrument way better than I did. So just having that flexibility to learn how to make their best self without you being the best self with them, I think that has been great.
Good answer. Suzanne?
So is the business model direct to consumer to people that need help with the process? Is that?
Yes, to people and companies, right? So when we started, we wanted to learn.
Hiring companies.
Yes,
okay.
To the hiring companies. So when we started, we wanted to perfect all the automation and all the scalability first with consumers. We didn't want to go directly to business, and now we're finally ready. The B2B product is almost ready, and that's the idea for 2026, right? Keep the B2C, consumer end, but also switch to companies and starts getting that, because again, right, for scaling, it's really the way to go.
Dave, Karen?
I don't want to ask, but I guess we have to ask it. Political environment right now, how does it affect your business now and in the long term?
Every single person asked that, don't worry. Yeah. So look, I've done analysis of the last 15 years of like visas issued every year, including the previous Trump administration. They remain almost the same, right? Like we focus on a very specific business side of things. So H-1Bs, O-1s, like the entrepreneurs, the tech professionals, the PhDs. Those numbers has remained the same, and even this year they have remained the same. So there's one thing about political communication, posturing, et cetera, of each different candidate, but in terms of like immigration, when you look at the big picture for the last 20, 40 years, it's stayed very stable. Even this year, like we haven't gotten a single denial, and I'm not seeing like huge changes from last year. Now, if you were doing asylum, if you were doing family, like that's a different story, right? Like I know that has changed dramatically, but not really in our focus, which is business immigration.
Susan?
Yeah, how much of those cases are, copy-paste, where it's really like a lot of it can be automated because it's very similar, versus special cases, custom work, where humans have to get more involved?
A lot is automatable, especially with LLMs, right? Like in a world pre-AI, pre-LLMs, like generative AI, a lot of nuances. Now you can actually automate a lot of these things. So a typical case, I said, like the 800 pages, it's probably 50 pages of forms, 20, 30 pages of basic documents, 5 or 6 recommendation letters, and then a lot of documentation, right? Like, okay, you need to show me documentation that you race around, and you did this, and you did that. So it's basically organizing that. So actually, AI is being great. I would say at least 90-95% of the entire job is completely automatable.
Zachary, please.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear you say you were going B2C and B2B, the employers. How did you decide on those two customer segments versus the law firms, given that they're in the loop?
Yeah, so week 1 of Tuki, we wanted to sell to law firms. And after talking to 10 attorneys, I changed my mind. So many reasons, right? I don't think the attorneys are the ones feeling the biggest pain point. Those are consumers. The market is 30, 40x larger. Here, and you have so much more to compete. So until now, generally I think the last 10, 15 years has been mostly about innovation in the B2B SaaS type of company where you were selling to operators. We do have a strong thesis, not just with Tuki, but generally, that there's going to be huge disruption in the next 15 years in the service directly, just competing with these people versus trying to sell them, right? Because even if you sell them software, there are things that are broken in the process, no matter what you do, right? So the process is the problem. It's not just the tools used by the process. So we're not just creating AI agents or AI or technology. We're changing the entire thing, how it works. And I'll give you a small example. Our clients can see every single detail of their case, like who is being worked by. So if the attorney has been sitting on your document for 3 days, you can see that. When I talk with that for attorneys, they didn't like that. They didn't want to buy that, right? So I want to do that, but they don't. So hiring them is easier to change behavior versus trying to sell them something and telling them like, look, this is not the greatest customer experience, let's change that. So that, in order to really change this industry, we believe this is the right way.
Please.
Can we just go a little deeper on that? So can you just give us a bit more detail about your specialist moat? And then conversely, can you tell me maybe why you are or are not worried about a more general agentic AI play that can come and just do this as well as 10 other things?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in focus. So I do think it's extremely hard to do something great. And the more things you try to do, the harder it becomes, right? There is so much nuance and so many details in how to make this work. And us being the operators, we're not just building the product. I was the paralegal for the first 20 cases just to learn how to do this. We have the paralegals, we have the attorneys in-house. We have them meet every single week with our product team to see where are the faults, where are the bugs, what can be improved. And I think it's really hard to compete with something like that if you're trying to do 1,000 other things. It's really hard. It's not just about the AI, it's about guiding the user to give you the right things, like how do they understand? Like, it's overwhelming. Like, again, it's 800 pages of documentation, right, that you need to submit about your life. You're going to be lost. And just having an AI agent answering questions is not going to make the job done. We have been doing this for the last 2 years, and it's hard to really achieve a great product.
We'll have to end it there. Great job, judges. Thank you. Thanks. All right. How about we give a round of applause to all 15 companies for a great job today, huh? Really, really wonderful. I also have to take a moment to congratulate the entire 43North staff for putting on a great event today. This is very difficult to do. They did a great job. I also want to recognize our chairman, Pete Grum, who's here today. Pete, thank you so much for the opportunity for me. Appreciate it, the one and only. And then last but not least, I want to thank Mike Whistler and Eric Reich, who are working with the judges to figure out who the final contestants for tomorrow will be. So I'm supposed to read something over here, which I'll do. Otherwise, Colleen will be mad, and none of us want Colleen to be mad. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so that obviously concludes our final rounds here. We will now begin deliberations, as I said, to select the final 8 for tomorrow at Shea's that will pitch in front of our finals judges that if they're not here, they're on their way here, and there will be a really interesting group of people. If you don't have your tickets yet for the finals, you can still go get them. Go to 43north.org. As I said earlier, the show begins at 6 p.m. I want to once again thank all of our sponsors, who I think might be listed up here. Are they? Yes, very good. They all know who they are. They know how much we appreciate their support. I appreciate you paying attention to me today. It's been a real pleasure. It always is for me to be with all of you. Have a great night. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.